The following is a live presentation of CBC Sports. Lansdowne Park in Ottawa will be the track today in a season-long horse race. The Saskatchewan Roughriders, ridden by Kent Austin, quarterback extraordinaire, need a win to improve their precarious playoff hopes. Damon Allen will be in the saddle for the Ottawa Roughriders, who are already playoff bound. Saskatchewan at Ottawa, on the road to the Grey Cup, on the CFL on CBC. They broke out of the gate in the CFL's West Division Stakes in July. Now they're in the stretch, jockeying for position as they head for home. Calgary has had the lead from the start. Saskatchewan brings up the rear, but the Roughriders won this race in the stretch 2 years ago. Then, as they are now, the Riders ran off the pace, but won 3 of their last 5 to make it to the playoffs. Saskatchewan nipped the rest of the field at the wire and ended up in the winner's circle with top prize money, the Grey Cup. Now the Riders will try the same feat with a new trainer, Don Matthews. The CFL's East Division Stakes has been a different story. The Hamilton Tiger Cats stumbled out of the gate, assuring Ottawa of at least the show. Mind you, the Riders haven't earned third by default. They've run a good race thanks to a defense that's developed into one of the CFL's best. The Riders lead the league in 9 defensive categories. The improvement can be traced to the day Joe Paragelli was hired to whip this beast into shape. And now Ottawa would like to make up ground in the stretch. In Ottawa, the news is good on and off the field. You are looking at Lonnie Gleiberman in attendance at today's game, along with Rider General Manager Joanne Polak. He is with a company called Crosswinds Communities. Lonnie and his father, Bernie, who is president of the company, met with some CFL governors in Toronto last night. They made their pitch, they have seen the books, and were told a purchase of the team the league has run since July 24th is at hand. Because of the sensitivity of final negotiations, Lonnie cannot appear with us today, but he did tell us he is committed to keeping the Roughriders in Ottawa. So it's against that backdrop of good news that they'll play a game here this afternoon. And here is Don Whitman with Joe Gillette.
Thank you, Scott. Hi, everybody. And if, in fact, Lonnie Gleiberman does wind up purchasing the Ottawa Roughriders, I think our CBC crew can take some of the credit. We had discussions with Lonnie about the potential involvement in a CFL franchise. Joe, you even spent several hours one morning at a game in Toronto detailing the financial requirements of operating a team to Lonnie.
What Lonnie wanted to know was, does it make business sense? And, of course, he knew what the numbers were. He knew how to figure that out. But one thing that I was really impressed with in Lonnie Gleiberman, he is a football fan. He is a tremendous CFL fan. He knows a lot about this league. He knows what he's getting into. I think it's positive.
And if he does take over the Ottawa Roughriders, as it is expected he will early next week, he could wind up with a team that definitely has a shot at being in Winnipeg on the 24th of November in the Grey Cup game. Scott?
Well, Don, on Live at the Half today, we'll show you some key plays from Toronto's victory over Winnipeg at Skydome last night, a game that has all but secured first place for the Argonauts in the East Division. The Bombers did play as though first place was at stake, but they came up just short. Collectibles are in. We'll see how CFL player cards are faring in a booming market, that in a feature report. That's all on Live at the Half. The kickoff is up next. You're watching the CFL on CBC live from Lansdowne Park in Ottawa.
It's a comfortable afternoon in the nation's capital as far as the temperature is concerned, 13 degrees, but before the game is over, we could get some rain. The opening kickoff bounces to the sidelines, and that was not a good move by Bobby Gordon. Had he let that ball roll another 1.5 feet, it would have gone out of bounds, and the Roughriders would have been forced to kick off from 5 yards further back. But as it is, Gordon steps out of bounds on the 23-yard line, and that's where Ottawa will scrimmage under Damon Allen, 1st and 10.
Well, they could have used the penalty and had them re-kick into a stiff wind. Damon Allen wants to come out and get things moving right away because he's had some criticism about being hesitant when they get down in that 25-yard range.
1st and 10 from the 23. Reggie Barnes, the ball carrier, and the Saskatchewan defense wraps him up almost immediately. Glenn Scrivener and Eddie Lowe in on the tackle.
Eddie Lowe, being that middle linebacker, has made an impact on the defense. They like Eddie Lowe's range. As a middle linebacker, he's able to cover a lot of ground, but Damon has to be able to use Reggie Barnes to keep the defense respecting the run, and then Stephon Jones is going to be their home run long ball catcher.
Saskatchewan showing blitz on 2nd and 10. Damon Allen with good protection. Now he's caught by Scrivener back at the 15-yard line. And the Ottawa Roughriders are forced to kick it away as Glenn Scrivener, who missed all of last season as a result of a knee operation, converted from an offensive lineman to a defensive lineman, and he is the starting defensive tackle for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And on the first 2 plays, he is in on both tackles.
Well, that was a coverage sack. You have to credit the secondary of Saskatchewan coming up, playing the receivers tight.
One man back, Willis Jaycox, awaiting this kick. He takes it at the 50-yard line. Jaycox still on his feet, but pretty good coverage by the Ottawa Roughriders as they bring him down at the midfield stripe. Jock Climby was there to make the tackle with 13:54 remaining in the opening quarter. The Roughriders run their first offensive series.
Well, Ken Austin, he's like a coach out there on that football field. He has set in on all the offensive meetings. He watches film. He and Coach Ray Yock determine what will happen in the game plan, and he loves to take over at midfield. He's having a great year.
Basically, Don Matthews has left the offensive scheme up to Kent Austin and Ray Yock. Here's a reverse with Fairholm, and Fairholm picks up about 7 yards. Brian Bonner made the tackle for Ottawa. Fairholm is having a big year for Saskatchewan.
Well, that's his 10th carry as a slot back on a reverse situation, but the way he does it best, the way he has his good year, he's got 10 touchdowns this year, catching that football down the seam. But they've also got Brian Williams, and Austin likes to use him to go deep.
2nd and 3. Milson Jones into the lineup. Farthing goes out. Jones, the ball carrier. He'll get the first down for Saskatchewan, driving to the 40-yard line. We were talking with Kent Austin prior to the game about Milson Jones, and we were talking about drop kicks. He said Milson Jones might be the best he's ever seen. He said he and Ray Elgard fool around before practice, and Milson has drop kicked a football 53 yards through the uprights.
And that was for money.
Yes, Ray Elgard's money. Of course, Ray's got a bigger contract. Austin throwing deep for Fairholm. Incomplete. The man who was trying to get set for an interception was Daniel Hunter, and as he tried to turn around, he slipped on the wet field. There has been a lot of rain in Ottawa over the last week, and this field at Lansdowne Park is still slippery and wet.
It's interesting because the defensive people usually have the disadvantage. Daniel Hunter had a chance to go for that, but Lloyd Lewis has to keep the pressure on, and Snipes has to control things in the middle. But Scott Flagel is the key to this ball game, how well he adjusts.
Saskatchewan with a 5-receiver package, but the give is to Milson Jones, and Jones only gets about 4 yards before being stopped by Brian Bonner.
Don Matthews likes that 5-receiver package. He likes to take Milson Jones out. He said Milson Jones told him, he said, I can play for another 10 years if you substitute as freely as you have so far.
Don Matthews took over Saskatchewan on August 22nd, and the green and white are 4-2 under his directions. They won 2, lost 2, and they are currently on a 2-game winning streak, including a win last Sunday at home over the Calgary Stampeders. David Ridgway will be attempting a 43-yard field goal. It's good, and he is virtually automatic from the 50-yard line. 11:48 is the time remaining in the first quarter. Saskatchewan leads 3-0. That 43-yard field goal, one of many milestones in the career of David Ridgway. The only other players to kick more than 400 field goals, Lou Pasaglia and Dave Cutler. A bouncing kickoff that is taken by Drawhorn, fumbled by Drawhorn. He gets it back at the 33-yard line. I think that football bounced off his helmet. It's not what you call using your head on the blood.
Well, he used his head in the wrong way. Faragelli is not happy about that situation. 2 times now on kickoff returns. Joe told us yesterday, when you return a kick, that's your first offensive play. So already they're starting out first 2 offensive drives in bad position.
Faragelli, since taking over Ottawa, has seen the team win 5 and lose 4. He replaced Steve Goldman. Damon Allen throwing to the sidelines, and Gordon is open. To the 45-yard line, stopped by Richie Hall and Kim McLeod.
Well, Bobby Gordon found them in a zone coverage, and that's unusual for Saskatchewan. I think they're playing a little chess out there. They're trying to give them a different look. Saskatchewan in zone coverage, they only used that 13 times last week, and they took advantage of it by Ottawa. But Jurison's the guy that does their pressure.
32-yard gain to Gordon, sideline pattern, and Stephan Jones makes the catch at the 30-yard line for another first down, Ottawa.
Stephan Jones is their deep receiver, and he gets a lot of respect. So when he comes down the field, Hairston's thinking deep, and then Stephan makes the break to the outside, and he does a nice job of picking that ball up off the ground.
The advantage of having a Stephan Jones in the lineup is that he has that speed, and that will spread out opposition defenses. They felt that Stephan could have returned last week for the game against the Toronto Argonauts, but Joe Faragelli didn't want to take the chance of bringing Jones back a week early and possibly having him re-injure that hamstring. He wanted him completely healthy before he returned. Wilcox is in. Jones goes out. 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. The handoff to Reggie Barnes. Eddie Lowe finally stopped Barnes, but not before he picked up 9.
Everybody was to the wide side of the field. Reggie Barnes carried on the counter play, and he does a great job of picking his hole. As he gets the block from Rob Smith, watch him break back to the inside, and he went through 2 tacklers to make an extra yard. That's good football by Reggie Barnes.
The short yardage offense is in. This is where Joe Faragelli is going to give Damon Allen some help in selecting plays when he gets inside the 30-yard line. Sean Daniels, the ball carrier, he got inside the 20. That should be a first down. Faragelli was saying that Damon Allen's problem when he gets inside the 25 and the play selection is that he wants to call a perfect play. And as a result, he takes too much time in the huddle and making a decision. And almost once per game, he has been guilty of a time count violation.
You got to make up your mind down there. The heat turns up. The defense plays tougher. So does Damon Allen have to play tougher.
1st and 10 from the 20. The fake toss. Lots of room to the right side, and he'll score.
Did he answer what we said?
And Damon Allen shows a little emotion as he runs that one in, something we haven't seen too often from the Ottawa quarterback. A 20-yard touchdown run as the Ottawa Roughriders move in front.
Damon Allen does a fake pitch. Everybody's thinking Reggie Barnes, and you can see Bobby Jurison took that one step that put himself in trouble. Now Damon Allen has the outside. He takes it all the way in.
One of the easier touchdowns that Damon Allen will score, and Joe Faragelli is the first over to congratulate the Ottawa quarterback. As Terry Baker, a former Saskatchewan Roughrider, adds the point after. So the Ottawa Roughriders have moved in front of Saskatchewan by a score of 7-3 with 9:31 remaining in this opening quarter. The Ottawa Roughriders still intend on catching Winnipeg for 2nd place in the Eastern Division. I think they've pretty much given up on trying to overhaul the Toronto Argonauts. The Argos moving 8 points in front last night with their victory.
Well, this is what you call a naked bootleg, because here goes Damon when he fakes right here. This is Damon. He fakes to the pitch and then comes all the way around. The key to it, Jurison took a step, and that put him in trouble. You cannot take that step down to the inside. He can't get back out to recover. Damon Allen's got a good runoff by Stephan Jones. Nobody left to tackle him. Nice play, Damon. You did the job inside the 25. That's what Joe's telling him. That's once. He said, I want 2.
Jurison was trapped in that area where you feel completely lost. He knows he has overcommitted, and he could not get back. Jaycox on the return, bringing it out to the 42-yard line, and that's where Saskatchewan will scrimmage 1st and 10. Sean Foodie was there to make the tackle for Ottawa.
Jaycox is an exciting guy to watch. He's potentially a touchdown every time he gets that football. He can run one sideline to the other. Not many returners do that.
He came into this game as the CFL leader in combined yards, 2,138. 1st and 10, Saskatchewan. The Roughriders at their own 42-yard line. Here comes the pressure. Scott Flagel coming from his safety position. Kent Austin read it, but he, in attempting to dump it off to Lucius Floyd, underthrew him.
Well, Coach Roach is the defensive coordinator. His philosophy is very similar to Don Matthews. Pressure, pressure, get upfield. Look at Flagel coming over the top. That's all Austin had to see. Threw the ball quick to no avail.
2nd and 10, Saskatchewan. They trail by a score of 7-3. Quickly inside and underthrown is Jeff Fairholm. So the Saskatchewan Roughriders are 2 and out as they send out the punting unit.
Actually, good design. Austin saw him making the break, and he puts it inside to Fairholm, but the ball, because Austin's throwing off his back leg, that ball is behind him. The pressure worked both times.
Anthony Drawhorn is the lone man back for this 3rd down punt by Mike Lezecki. Not a good kick. Lezecki may have seen that pressure coming from Scott Flagel. He hit it off the side of his foot, and it goes out of bounds at the 54-yard line with 8:33 left in the quarter.
54.
Here's how the East Division shapes up in Week 14 of the season. The Argonauts are heading for a first-place finish. They beat the Bombers last night, lead by 6, so the Argonauts must lose 3 of their last 4 to squander first place. If Ottawa wins today, they'll be breathing down the neck of the Bombers. In the West, Calgary later today hoping to regain sole possession of first. On the other hand, if BC beats Calgary, there'll be a 3-way tie for first in the West, Don.
And the Saskatchewan Roughriders still have hopes of finishing in a playoff position, but they would need some help from the other teams in the West.
Barnes for 2.
Barnes, the ball carrier. Jurison was there. He stepped into the hole and stopped him after a gain of 1.
I think Jurison wanted to make up for that bootleg play the last time. He really put a good hit on Barnes coming up the middle. The draw play doesn't work on Jurison very often.
.7:57 remaining in this first quarter. 7-3, Ottawa leads. Ottawa 2nd and 9. Allen with good protection going deep. Wilcox can't make the catch. It bounced off the back of Richie Hall.
That's one of the things that they've got in their game plan. Saskatchewan's going to give you a lot of pressure, and when they do, watch for them to pick on Reggie Hall.
3rd down.
They're going to go after Hall. Richie Hall, not really a big guy. That's the problem. They're going to try to outreach him and go deep for some bombs.
3rd down punt. Willis Jaycox, the lone man back. Jaycox takes it on the run, but he slips and goes down at the 22-yard line, pinned by Daniel Hunter. I mentioned earlier that there has been a lot of rain in Ottawa over the past week, and we have seen evidence on a couple of plays that the artificial turf at Lansdowne is slippery as the result.
I think when you get the turf in that particular position, there's no surface water, but it's underneath. It's very tough to make a cut on your inside leg. You've got to really be deliberate, and you saw Milson Jones, probably the best guy on this field.
On 1st and 10, pass is complete to Donald Narcisse. A 1st down as he is brought down by Charles Gordon. He put a good move on Gordon to turn him around and then come back to the football.
This is nice communication, unspoken communication between receiver and quarterback. Narcisse knows where the football will be. He just slips around, takes the ball. What can Gordon do but just try to make the tackle?
Narcisse, 3rd among Rider receivers with 56 catches for 792 yards. Their number 1 receiver, of course, Ray Elgard, is not dressed today because of an injury. Pass was intended for Fairholm. There's a penalty call on Daniel Hunter. He came over the shoulder of Fairholm, and it will be a pass interference call that will give Saskatchewan another first down.
Forward pass interference. Ottawa number 27. First down.
Well, the fans don't like it, but you got to credit Kent Austin for that situation, because Kent Austin pumped. He knew that Hunter was waiting in the weeds. He pumped, then he let Fairholm get another step clear before he threw the ball. Hunter couldn't do anything but reach in. Good move by Austin.
Austin earlier this year established a CFL record for passes in one game, throwing 65 times. He throws for Lucius Floyd. He can't hang on. It will be 2nd and 10.
That was a rough pattern. They tried to screen the defender, and then Lucius Floyd came underneath. It was a nicely thrown ball. Maybe a little bit wet. Lucius couldn't pull it in.
A 5-receiver package now for Saskatchewan as rookie Dan Farthing comes into the ball game and Milson Jones goes out. This is the first game in which Farthing has dressed. He was an outstanding player at the University of Saskatchewan prior to being drafted by Saskatchewan. Fairholm makes the catch for a first down at the 37-yard line.
This is interesting because Fairholm loves to catch that ball coming down the seam. He likes to go straight down the field. That's what Anthony Drawhorn bought. He bought the idea Fairholm was going down the field. Then when he broke outside, he had overplayed it.
17-yard gain for Fairholm.
That's the kind of defense Ottawa wants. They want to bump and run with the receivers.
Milson Jones back in. 1st and 10, Saskatchewan. Byron Williams, touchdown! A 37-yard touchdown throw from Kent Austin to Byron Williams, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders have moved ahead.
Byron Williams just coming from the World League, and what he did is make his break off the bump and run. If you're playing the receivers tight, you better stay with them, because a guy like Byron Williams, if he's wide open and Austin delivers like he did, it's a touchdown.
He previously played in the CFL with both Ottawa and BC. He was with Coach Matthews with the Orlando Thunder in the World League. This is his 6th game with Saskatchewan. He scores the touchdown. David Ridgway, the convert. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders have moved in front of the Ottawa Roughriders by a score of 10-7 with 5:28 remaining in the opening quarter. And for Kent Austin, that was his 27th touchdown pass this season. On the sidelines, let's bring in Scott Owen.
Well, not quite on the sidelines, Don, above them. And when you're dressed like this, you got to have a special invitation from the president of the Southsiders for life, Byron Smith, to get into this section. Byron, the big news, of course, in Ottawa today, potential purchase of your team by a Detroit businessman. One of the most faithful football fans in the world, the Southsiders think.
Well, we're glad to see that it's been sold. We're a little leery about foreign ownership. Toronto's foreign to us, let alone Detroit. But we'll take the man at his word that he intends to keep it here for now. So.
Well, you know the deal is not quite done yet, although it should go through.
Yeah, well, it seems like it's a done deal. They've sort of knocked away all the Canadian ownership, so we'll have to see what happens with it, I guess.
Okay, Byron, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Don?
Scott, more than just football fans concerned about foreign ownership these days in Canada, but that's another story. And so I don't think we have time to really get into that one. Anthony Drawhorn, a 30-yard return, and it's 1st and 10 at the 50-yard line. Jeff Treflin made the tackle.
Well, as long as those South stands buy tickets, I think Lonnie Gleberman would like to keep the team here. They got a good, strong base of season ticket holders. That's why he'd rather be here than Detroit.
Movement at the line of scrimmage. That draws a penalty flag. This will be a free one for Damon Allen. Oh, he took a pretty good hit before going down in the grasp of Bobby Jerson, but it was Albert Brown who hit Damon Allen up high. But with the penalty flag on the play, it was a free one for Damon Allen, and he ran for 24 yards. There would have been an offside call against Saskatchewan. Obviously, it is going to be waved off.
And a face mask as well, and I think that's a good call. Even though he may not have grabbed the handle on the bucket, he grabbed his head, and that's dangerous on the open field. Watch Damon Allen's head. That's not the way you play football. There's no reason for that. You come in and make a good, solid tackle. No like to see players get it wide open field in the head area. That's just not good. That's a tremendous amount of whiplash on Damon Allen.
So with the penalty tacked on, it's 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. The toss to Reggie Barnes. Tiptoeing down the sidelines. He takes on Albert Brown, but he is forced out of bounds at the 11th.
You notice Damon Allen faked like he was going to come back with the bootleg, and Joe Faragelli's telling him, that's good play selection. You're down inside the 25. Like I told you, son, you change up. One time you give him the bootleg, the next time you give him the toss. Joe's happy with what he's seeing right now in Damon Allen.
He has also reduced the number of plays on the ready list that Damon Allen has taped to his wrist. And he is not taking nearly as much time in getting the team out of the huddle. Bonner's in the backfield on this short yardage situation, and Damon Allen is going to try and follow his block, but he was stretched too far outside. However, he does dive forward for what appears to be a first down, but he was extended by James King. He initially attempted to go upfield behind the block of Bonner, who usually is a linebacker but comes in short yardage situations.
So Damon showed that he was an athlete on this play. The problem he was having is if he could get the pitch to David Conrad, David's got to stay outside of him. He just never got the pitch, so Damon made it a first down on his own. Nice play, Damon Allen.
1st and goal from the 9-yard line. Stephan Jones goes wide to the right. Damon Allen is operating from the shotgun. He's going to score his 2nd touchdown of the day, and he made that one look just about as easy as the first.
Well, Papa Joe, he's really happy with that because now Damon has taken the game into his hands. Both times when they were down inside and ready to score, Damon Allen took it upon himself to do the right thing. He almost had a problem with that snap. It was too high.
He got a good block from Gerald Roper, and then another from Brian Illebrun, and he went into the end zone for the 2nd time, untouched. A 9-yard run for Damon Allen, and the Ottawa Roughriders have regained the lead.
Damon Allen told us yesterday, we got to get 7 points instead of 3 points. We got to, when we're down there, we got to get those touchdowns. He's done it so far.
Both times, the Ottawa Roughriders have been in Saskatchewan territory. They have scored touchdowns. We'll be back with the Ottawa kickoff after this. 4:01 remaining in the opening quarter. Ottawa in front, 14-10. Terry Baker kicking off. Jaycox at the 3-yard line. Good tackle by Sean Daniels at the 35. Damon Allen has put it in the end zone twice, and I think Damon has reason to smile. He has had success today both times that Ottawa has penetrated Saskatchewan territory.
Well, once on the bootleg, this time on the quarterback draw in the driving rain. Ball's too high. Gerald Roper comes on a trap. Illebrun comes on a pin. He's got the touchdown.
And that brief shower certainly didn't dampen the enthusiasm of the crowd at Lansdowne Park. Fairholm took a big hit from Scott Flagel at the 40-yard line. Charles Wright made the initial contact, and Scott Flagel, who has the reputation of being a hitter from that safety position, finished the job on Fairholm.
I was walking across the field before the game, and Scott Flagel said, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to hit people today. And guess what he did? He hit people.
Is that unusual for Scott Flagel to hit people?
Especially over the middle. Look at this. Boom! Oh, man, that is a hit.
He starts the game with a mean disposition. It gets worse as the game progresses. There's another hit on Fairholm, this time by Daniels.
Daniel Hunter had
Daniel
a chance.
Hunter.
He had a chance at an interception, I think, Don, but he was looking to hit somebody. They really blitzing and putting pressure. And you know what they want to do is get Austin off of his tempo. They don't want to let Austin drop back, throw the ball on time. So they're jamming receivers and blitzing everybody.
Well, the philosophy of the Ottawa coaching staff is that Kent Austin is a rhythm type of thrower. There's the direct snap to Lucius Floyd on a 3rd down gamble. It doesn't work. Kinsley Palmer made the tackle on Floyd. Saskatchewan last week against Calgary, gambled on third down situations twice with a direct snap, and it worked against the Stampeders. It did not work the first time they tried against Ottawa.
Well, they had linemen in there. They didn't have the regular punt team. Look at the big guys. They had the big guys in there trying to open it up for Floyd. It didn't work.
Ottawa takes over 1st and 10. The ball is at the 44 of Saskatchewan. David Conrad picks up a couple of yards. He is stopped at the 41 with 2:35 remaining in this opening quarter. Jurison and Lewis combined on the stop. Joe Farragelli was saying yesterday he still thinks that the Ottawa Roughriders can catch second place. They come into the game 4 behind Winnipeg, but they have a big game on October 26th with the Blue Bombers here at Ottawa, their last home game of the year, as a matter of fact. Wide open, Brock Smith. He can't catch up with it.
Well, he was open. He was wide open because he had Albert Brown down on the ground, and if he would have been able to adjust to the ball, Damon just put a little bit too much on it.
Last week against the Toronto Argonauts, we saw Brock Smith make a catch, head right off the playing field, out through the parking lot, around a couple of vans and cars that are parked there, and it was after the convert that he finally returned to the field.
I knew you'd mention that, and I was wondering if he'd go between the two mounted policemen over here.
48-yard field goal attempt by Terry Baker. It's good. Well, the Ottawa Roughriders, when they've moved into scoring position this afternoon, have come away with points. 2 touchdowns and a field goal, and Joe Farragelli is a happy man so far on the sidelines for the Ottawa Roughriders.
Papa Joe knows how to do it. So on that fake punt, it didn't really kill Saskatchewan, but they did get 3 out of it for the Roughriders, the Ottawa Roughriders, the Eastern Riders.
A 5-receiver package for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 4 them to the right side. The give is to Lucius Floyd, and he'll pick up only a couple of yards. Farragelli is pleased with the way his defense has been performing in recent games, and he is most enthused in the sidelines this afternoon.
Well, there's something like a Scott Flagel making a great hit over the middle to the best receiver on the other team that pumps up the whole defense. Lewis was over there. Calker was over there. They're pumped. They're pumped and playing good ball.
17-10, Ottawa leading Saskatchewan as we move into the final minute of the opening quarter. It's 2nd and 8. Swing pass incomplete. It was intended for Lucius Floyd. Brian Bonner was defending on it all the way.
Bonner was an inside-out position on him, but I think he was yelling at him as he was going over. Here I come. And Lucius Floyd knew about it because he didn't pull the ball in. When you see Floyd, he feels Bonner. Watch him. He knows he's going to get hit. He never gets a chance to put the ball away. Nice job by Brian Bonner.
Third down punt by Lazecki. His first only traveled 14 yards. Gordon on the return, a block on the sidelines, and then he's forced out of bounds, but he brought it back to the Saskatchewan 41. James King forced him out of bounds with 33 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. People were asking about Gordon yesterday at the press conference, and Farragelli responded by saying he attempted to get Gordon into the lineup back in August, but because of an injury situation, the import-non-import ratio, he could not put him in the lineup. But now that he is in the Ottawa lineup, I don't think he's going to be moved up.
I think Patrick Wayne being healthy has really helped their defense, so now they can put a Gordon in the lineup.
Fake inside. Damon Allen throwing. Catch is made on the far side. No. Incomplete. Stephan Jones unable to hang on. He had Stacey Hairston all over him, and Damon Allen is down. He took a hit just as he threw that football.
James King has got tremendous speed. That's why he's in the lineup, and Allen knew what he was going to come up against. He really sacrificed his body to deliver that ball. King came right through delivered him at about chest high and took him back down backwards. Watch King. He's got the angle. Damon knows it, but he still delivers the football and takes the hit.
James King actually switched from linebacker to rush end and then returned to a linebacker position. The pass was thrown for Stephan Jones. He got his hands on it, but as he went down, he could not control it. He had Stacey Hairston on top of him. It's an incomplete pass.
That looked like interference to me all the way. He had him. He was touching him. He was pushing him. Hairston was all over him, but I didn't see a flag.
Don Matthews is quite enthused about the way his defense has been playing. He's made a number of adjustments in his defensive unit. He has James King and Doug Brewster flanking Eddie Lowe, who seems to be playing some of his best football now that he's in the middle of that Saskatchewan linebacking corps.
Well, Don Matthews has always been a pressure coach. He wants to send all the pressure he can defensively. It's all or nothing. Sometimes you're going to give a big play, and you've seen that happen. But what Don wants to do is get the front seven to have the kind of speed of the quarterbacks he's facing. So there was an example of it. King was out there, had the same speed Damon Allen had, and he put the helmet right in Damon Allen's chest. Looks like Damon's going to be all right, but that's a tough hit.
John Congemi will come into the ball game. Congemi has had very little action this year. He has only thrown 14 passes and completed 4 of them, one of them being intercepted. Came into the CFL with the Toronto Argonauts, moved over to the Ottawa Roughriders, and he has had a history of injury problems during his CFL career. An outstanding quarterback at Pittsburgh prior to joining the Argos, brought into the CFL by an old buddy, Leo Cahill. Stephan Jones grabs it for a touchdown. What a way to step into a football game. A 41-yard touchdown throw. Congemi to Stephan Jones.
Well, this is exactly what happens if you don't get pressure on the quarterback. If you're blitzing all the time and you don't get to the quarterback, your defensive backs have to hold up. This is poetic justice. Hairston had interference the last play, could have been interference this play, but he gave up the 7 points.
We talked earlier about the speed of a Stephan Jones, and that will certainly spread out a defense when you have someone who can fly like a Stephan Jones. And when John Congemi delivered the ball, the Ottawa Roughriders had their 3rd touchdown of the day. It comes on the final play of the opening quarter at Town Park. The Ottawa Roughriders have jumped into a 14-point lead after 15 minutes of play. This has been a wild scoring affair so far, threatening the record that these two teams have combined for, 80 points in 1989. Lucius Floyd is held up at the 41-yard line by Kinsley Palmer on the kickoff return.
Stephan's happy. He's really pleased with what's happening. He's been the target downfield, and watch Stephan here. He's getting harassed a little bit by Hairston. He pushes off. He said, hey, if you can push me, I can push you. So there.
Stephan Jones with the 3rd Ottawa touchdown of the opening quarter. The Roughriders only had the football for 4 minutes and 25 seconds in that opening quarter, but they scored 3 touchdowns. Incomplete. Patrick Wayne was defending against Lucius Floyd. It will be 2nd and 10.
I'm really impressed with Patrick Wayne. Since he's come back, that's given that defense a little bit of an opportunity to change some people around. And, you know, Gord Weber played really well, so that's why Patrick Wayne's playing well. They got some nice weak side linebackers playing for the Ottawa Roughriders.
Kent Austin missed 5 3/4 games this year because of a shoulder problem. Otherwise, he may have really posted some impressive numbers as far as touchdown throws are concerned. The pass intended for a fair home being covered by Anthony Drawhorn. Saskatchewan is forced to send out the punting unit. Scott?
A
Ottawa bench, Damon Allen is okay. He's been cleared for action. It wasn't the hit that really hurt him. It was the sudden stop when he hit the turf. He bruised his right hip slightly, but he's okay, ready for action. John Conjemi came over and said, Damon, you go back in. I got you a bit of a cushion.
Sure, Conjemi wants him to go back in. He's 1,000%. Got him a lead. Now the relief pitcher is back on the bench.
1 for 1. And that one pass goes for a touchdown for John Conjemi. Anthony Drawhorn from the 20-yard line on this punt return. He gets a couple of blocks and then is forced out of bounds at the 44. Statistically, the Ottawa Roughriders with the edge, as one would expect, leading by a score of 24-10, but only possessing the football for 20 seconds more than Saskatchewan in that opening quarter. But 3 times when they had the football, it only took them 4 minutes and 35 seconds to put it in the end zone. 3 drives consuming that little time.
They're scoring from close, and that's important.
John Conjemi remains at quarterback. He gives to Reggie Barnes, and Reggie Barnes tries to break a tackle, but Bobby Jurison got him by the ankle and hauled him down after a pickup of 4.
Ottawa's putting all the receivers to one side of the field, leaving Stephon Jones over to the weak side, and then they give the ball to Reggie Barnes on a counter play. They'll come back with the play-action pass and put the ball up to Stephon before the quarter's over.
Gordon goes wide left. Barnes last week against Toronto went over 1,000 yards, the second consecutive year that he has been a 1,000-yard rusher in the CFL. And Jemmy's 2 for 2. Bobby Gordon on the receiving end of a throw at the 50-yard line.
Bobby Gordon is getting better every game. He shows himself to be more and more at home in the CFL. He's learning what to do in that wide field. Watch him from the outside, break back to the inside, reach up, and pull in a good reception.
That takes the ball to the 48-yard line, 1st and 10. Conjemi gives to Reggie Barnes. He fumbles. Saskatchewan's got him. Picked up by Doug Brewster, and they rule that it was dead at that spot as it bounced away from Reggie Barnes. He lost control, and Brewster beat him to the football. A big turnover with Saskatchewan taking over. 12:27 remaining in this first half.
Yeah, that was a non-contact fumble, and that's the kind of coaches hate to see. Don Matthews doesn't mind seeing it because it's to his advantage, but watch this. It's a non-contact fumble. No excuse for that.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 54. Austin was looking for Fairholm. He got tangled up with Daniel Hunter, and it will be 2nd and 10. Austin threw 65 times against Edmonton on September 15th, breaking the old standard of 62 passes in a game held by Joe 747 Adams, set on July 29, 1983 against Toronto.
Lloyd Lewis was in there and gave him a good shot. Matthews was talking about knockdowns yesterday. Austin's taken some knockdowns today.
Pass intended for Fairholm, and it was Anthony Drawhorn defending against the Saskatchewan slotback. And again, Scott Flagel was coming from that safety position. He was on that halfback blitz.
Scott Flagel, number 14, comes up, and Austin knows he's there. He knows he's got to throw it quick. Fairholm isn't giving him a chance because Drawhorn's right in front of Fairholm. Drawhorn's overplaying the play down the seam. He takes away what they do best. He said, I know you did the out cut. I'm going to take away the down the seam cut. And now Drawhorn's back to return the kick.
3rd down punt by Lazecki. Drawhorn has nowhere to go as he is stopped in his tracks at the 27-yard line by Dan Rashovich. 11:23 is the time remaining in the half. Ottawa leads by 14. Well, after that brief shower, there's a rainbow in the sky above the nation's capital. There may not be a pot of gold at the end of that rainbow, but for Ottawa football fans, there could be a new owner in the person of Lonnie Gleiberman, who is watching the action this afternoon at Lansdowne Park. That pass incomplete, intended for David Conrad. It will be 2nd and 10. Damon Allen, after sitting out one series, back in at quarterback.
Well, Saskatchewan isn't holding back. They're sending everybody. They're one-on-one on the receivers. Jurison came up, number 71, puts a good hit on Damon, forced him to throw the football, not to where he wanted to throw it. See him bounce away from it. A quarterback has to throw that ball and follow through towards the direction he's throwing the ball.
From the shotgun, Damon Allen sidearms it to Stephan Jones. He's covered by Stacey Hairston and gets help from Richie Hall in preventing the Fleet Ottawa receiver from picking up a first down. Gary Lewis was pressuring quarterback Damon Allen.
He sure did pressure Damon Allen. Gary Lewis was right in Damon's face. The only reason he threw it sidearm, that's the only place there was to throw. Stephan's isolated outside. He catches the football. There's no place for him to go. So you got the quarterback hit. Well, Smith's doing a good job on Jurison here. He's staying right in front of him, protecting him. But you can see on the backside, Gary Lewis just ran right over top of Damon Allen. So they didn't get the first down. They got the quarterback knocked down, and they got the receiver ganged up on. That wasn't a good play.
Well, we had an interesting situation. Two players had their helmets locked together. Wayne Dixon and Brian Illerbrun over on the far side of the field had their helmets tangled up. The nose guards were locked and they couldn't separate the two of them. They had to take the helmets off.
I saw a commercial on Crazy Glue. Looked just like that.
Third down punt by Terry Baker. There was pressure coming from the left side. Pitcher was coming in, but he got the kick away, and Jaycox is going to lose yards. Uh-oh. That's about a 15-yard loss in that punt, and the coaching staff will not be pleased with that attempted return by Willis Jaycox.
Jacques Climie did a good job. Nice coverage by Jacques Climie. If he doesn't score touchdowns, he covers on kicks.
We talked about the two players having their helmets locked. They had to take them off to get them separated, Illerbrun and Dixon.
Illerbrun said, "Get out of my face." Who is the Rough Rider? Well, Illerbrun's never had that happen in his career, and he's only played 4,278 games.
Simply says we have to stop meeting this way. There's going to be an interference call. There's no question. Donald Narcisse was almost hauled down by Andre Francis, so that will result in a Saskatchewan first down at the Ottawa 52-yard line. 9:54 remaining in the half.
Forward pass interference. Ottawa number 1.
Well, Andre mugged him here. Watch Andre Francis. What he's trying to do is to stay bump and run, but watch Andre, when he wants to stay with him, he said, whoa, wait a minute. He could grab you by the face mask, I'll grab you by the shoulder, I'll grab you by the armpit, and then I'll pull you down by the waist. What do you mean interference?
There were only about 6 occasions for an interference call. Penalty call as Lucius Floyd attempts to go to the outside. Brian Bonner stayed right with him.
One of the things that amazes me is the defensive backs, when they're called for interference, it's the most innocent look I've seen since I caught my children in the cookie jar. I mean, who, me?
It's always the reaction, isn't it?
Offside. Ottawa number 27. Repeat first down.
I give my kids the same expression when they catch me in the cookie jar.
You should wait till they're in bed.
Yeah, I've tried.
The midnight raid.
Good protection. Pass complete over the middle. Fairholm with a first down at the 30-yard line. Most of this Saskatchewan passing attack today appears to be geared to get the ball to Fairholm.
Yeah, I think Austin knows that he's going to get pressure. When they get pressure, quarterbacks always like to go to their slot backs. They're closer, they can find them easier, and that's what happened to Fairholm. But look at the good job of pass protection there by Gioskas. He's doing a good job. Kept Lewis out of the play.
First and 10. The ball is at the 30-yard line. 8:54 remaining in the half. Austin steps up, throws down in the goal area, incomplete. It was intended for Boyko. Boyko thought he had a touchdown. But Andre Francis came over to help out in the coverage.
I thought he had a touchdown, too. I think somebody got a piece of the ball. It looked like somebody put their hand right in there and jostled the ball. And Andre's saying, yeah, I did it. I did it, man. Yeah, man. He told me yesterday, everything's irate. Well, he hit him at the right time. Perfectly timed hit. The native of Ocho Rios did a good job.
Second and 10. Incomplete. It was intended for Don Narcisse, and Andre Francis, a very physical Ottawa cornerback today.
Well, Andre was upset about that pass interference call, and he's been playing really tough ever since. That's 2 times when he's roughed people up, and you know he's not that big, but he, pound for pound, he's the toughest man around. He's timing this thing up, coming back in. He mugged him. Didn't let him catch the ball. 2 good plays by Andre.
So David Ridgway will attempt a field goal of 37 yards. Robo kicker, they call him, and for very good reason. He has only missed 9 field goals this year, and 4 of those attempts have been longer than 55 yards. We'll be back after this. (24-13), Ottawa leading Saskatchewan with 8:12 remaining in the first half. The Saskatchewan Roughriders preparing to kick off after that David Ridgway field goal, his second of the game and 401st of his career. Brock Smith starts from the 17-yard line on this kickoff return. Dan Rashovich got downfield and forced Brock Smith back into some other Saskatchewan tacklers, and he stopped at the 22. On the sidelines, here's Scott.
Don, on Live at the Half today, we'll recap what happened at Skydome last night in Toronto's victory over Winnipeg. And because of that win, the Argonauts are now odds-on favorites to finish first in the East Division. And in this era of collectibles, we'll give you an idea of the value of CFL players' cards in a feature report.
I think there are a few CFL players who wish they still had some of those cards that were distributed years ago. They have increased dramatically in value in some cases. Sean Daniels, the ex-Saskatchewan Roughrider, lugs the ball up to the 33-yard line, stopped by Wayne Dixon.
Sean Daniels wanted to show his old teammates that he still has it.
First and 10 at the 33. Those cards Scott talked about, I don't think any of them are quite as valuable as that Honus Wagner card that Bruce McNall and Wayne Gretzky bought at auction a while back. David Conrad breaks the tackle. Will he be caught? Richie Hall is after him. And James King also gets involved and makes the tackle down at the 15-yard line. A 60-yard run for David Conrad. The Ottawa Roughriders in scoring position again after that 60-yard run.
Ball on Saskatchewan 18.
James King is one of those guys that is so active running all over the field, but look, he gets picked up in his own players. Can't handle it.
Back to the live action. Sean Daniels, the ball carrier, to the 15-yard line.
That's the problem, Don. When you get a lot of blitzing, sometimes your own people cross up your linebackers. You can't really get through the pile, and that's what Don Matthews is upset about because he wanted to put pressure on the passer. It was a run play instead, and he couldn't get his pursuit angle.
The defense that Matthews likes to play is often referred to as living on the edge.
Well, it is that. It's all or nothing, and sometimes it looks great. Sometimes they have problems when the other team hits them in a seam like they just did.
From the 15-yard line, Damon Allen going to the end zone for Stephan Jones. Touchdown! several times about the importance of a receiver like Stephan Jones to the Ottawa attack. He now has his second touchdown of the day.
You want to give somebody some credit for this. Let's talk about the offensive line giving Damon Allen all the time in the world to let Stephan Jones make his break back to the inside. The offensive line, with Irv Damon in the middle, it gives them so much flexibility. They're able to keep Damon. They know he can block one-on-one. That helps everybody else.
We'll be back with the Ottawa kickoff after this. 5:51 remaining in the half, and this Ottawa offense has been explosive this afternoon. This kick will be
close.
touched by Willis Jaycox, yes, at the 35-yard line.
40 yards, they take no return by Saskatchewan.
Ellingson was charging downfield trying to get to that ball, and that may have been the reason that Jaycox decided to just jump up and knock it out of bounds. Stephan Jones, 2 touchdown receptions, and Joe Farragelli said that Stephan Jones would be an integral part of the Ottawa attack this afternoon, and indeed he has been. First and 10 from the 35-yard line. Fairholm can't catch up with the throw.
What pressure, though. They came in with the Flagel on the safety blitz, and both of them had their hands up. Flagel's coming in. Patrick Wayne's coming in. Austin, I don't know how he got the ball off as he was getting pressured. Austin drops back. Flagel, Patrick Wayne, both their hands up. Slap him around a little bit. Austin's timing, he's not able to set up and really throw like he wants to. This is a tough football player. This Flagel will get in your hair, and he likes to play mind games. Watch him move around the field, play games with the quarterback.
This time he remains set in his safety position as Kent Austin looks for someone to throw to, and Dan Farthing has a catch. His first in the CFL to midfield for a first down for Saskatchewan. Scott Flagel came over to take the feet out from under Dan Farthing. An outstanding career at the University of Saskatchewan.
Hey, who said that Austin can't move around and throw the football? He was born in Natick, Massachusetts. That's the same hometown as Doug Flutie. He looked like Doug Flutie on that play. Ken Austin telling us before the game, Flutie's a player. You're a player too, Ken Austin.
Farthing, a member of that Saskatchewan Vanier Cup Championship team. This pass is complete to Boyko for a gain of about 8 yards. Drawhorn was there to make the tackle. Saskatchewan going with 5 receivers, and the Ottawa Roughriders have countered with 6 defensive backs.
But that's a nice job by Boyko that time, Farthing the last time. The young receivers are doing a good job for Kent Austin.
Linebacker Snipes goes to the sidelines when the Roughriders go with the 6 defensive backs. Here's the long throw intended for Williams. It's incomplete.
Boy, is Kent Austin having trouble. I mean, he can't even throw. That's like trying to play in a phone booth. I mean, he just doesn't have time or room to go through with his throwing pattern. I don't know how he got the ball off this time. Austin has to take his step. A quarterback has to take a step when he throws the football, and then his shoulders have to whip around. But look at this. I mean, he is getting pinned in the booth.
Well, that's what the Ottawa Roughriders wanted to do, try and take Austin out of his rhythm. And Saskatchewan is gambling on 3rd down. 3rd and 2. Austin throws incomplete. He was looking for Williams again. He was covered by Andre Francis. And the Roughriders, for the 2nd time, lose the ball on a 3rd down gamble by Coach Don Matthews. Brian Bonner pressured Kent Austin, perhaps forcing him to hurry the throw. 3:48 is the time remaining in the half.
They're getting pressure on him by stunting the linebackers. The linebackers are running twist stunts and cross stunts, and that's really Don Matthews' type defense. I know Don's upset. Joe Farragelli's probably saying, look, Don, we're blitzing linebackers just like you are.
1st and 10 Ottawa. The Roughriders at their own 47. Allen has Brock Smith open, and that's another Ottawa 1st down. Forced out of bounds by Kim McLeod.
Joe Farragelli told us yesterday the offensive line is really doing a good job of picking up stunts. And he said a lot of those offensive linemen are as old as I am. And Joe Faragelli's not far off. You know, Brian Illebrew and some of those guys, they've been around a long, long time. Rob Smith, his mother is had her birthday today. Happy birthday, Peggy, out there in Vancouver.
And Rob Smith, according to Faragelli, might be his best offensive lineman. Kensley Palmer to the 45-yard line. That will be a pickup of about 6 yards. Stopped by Doug Brewster with 3:04 remaining in the half. Ottawa leading 31-13.
Ottawa safety Scott Flakel's having a big day on defense for the Riders. I just had a word with him, and he says the reason the Riders' defensive game plan is working is that they're jamming the Saskatchewan receivers at the line, forcing Ken Austin to hold on to the ball, and it's making it very tough for Austin to complete his passes. Don?
It has been tough indeed for Austin to complete the passes. Kensley Palmer, the ball carrier, close to another first down at the 41-yard line. And Joe Faragelli has certainly been moving people in and out of the lineup in that offensive backfield. He's had Reggie Barnes in there, Sean Daniels in there, David Conrad, Kensley Palmer, and all of them have been getting work.
I wonder what he calls them. You know, they call them Bimbo and Wishbone and Hambone. I wonder what he calls his package. He never tells us that.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 41. This is Reggie Barnes. He slips as he tries to make the cut. Brian Illebrun was out in front attempting to lead the blocking.
Eddie Lowe did a good job of coming over. He didn't give him the cutback, and that's what an inside linebacker has to do. You got to take away the cutback. You can't over-pursue a running back. Eddie Lowe took perfect inside position on the running back, didn't let him have anything behind the green.
2:26 remaining in the half. A loss of 1, 2nd and 11.
Yeah, Bragg, hey.
Allen fakes inside. Looks to the sidelines, and Stephan Jones is open again. Stephan yesterday was really excited at getting back into the Ottawa lineup. Joe Faragelli was equally as excited to have him back. And I think you can add a third party to that equation. I think Damon Allen was very excited that he's got a receiver with Stephan Jones' talents.
Well, Hairston's trying to stay with him, but watch what Stephan does. He says, hey, look out. Got to catch a short one. You thought I was gone deep. Ha-ha. Nice to have a receiver that could just work the defensive backs like that.
5 receptions for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns so far for Stephan Jones. 1st and 10. Hand off to Reggie Barnes. Barnes following the blocking of Kerry Elarenko, but Eddie Lowe, the linebacker, came in behind and made the tackle on Barnes.
Eddie Lowe has saved so many big plays today. When he takes his angle, watch Eddie Lowe. He looks like Singletary, sliding over, keeping his shoulders square, boom. He hits him and brings him down. That would have been a big, big play without Eddie Lowe making the tackle.
Pickup of 3. It's 2nd and 7. Damon Allen throwing deep for Brock Smith, and it's intercepted, picked off by Kim McLeod in the end zone. Damon Allen attempted to fake as though he was going to Stephan Jones, went the other way instead, looking for Brock Smith, but Kim McLeod didn't buy that fake, and he was there for the interception. Watch Damon Allen fake as though he's going to his right, and then come right back to his left.
Well, he looked off the receiver, but the problem he had here is he threw it over the wrong shoulder. Brock Smith can't possibly catch that football when it's over his outside shoulder like that.
So the Saskatchewan Roughriders take over 1st and 10 from the 25. Complete to Jeff Fairholm, and Fairholm breaks a couple of tackles and converts it into a first down at the 42. Stopped by Brian Bonner with 1:33 remaining in the half.
Well, that could have been a big, big interception by Kim McLeod. It looks like it's giving Saskatchewan a little bit more life. If they play the prevent defense here by the Roughriders, they're in trouble because Fairholm will catch them all day.
Well, he's got another. Just shy of the 50-yard line.
They got to go back to what they were doing, because if they play zone, Austin knows where Fairholm is. That's his favorite target.
Well, Austin doesn't have his other favorite target, Ray Elgard, in the lineup. They hope he'll be back next week. Donald Narcisse on that quick look-in pattern, and he had Andre Francis all over him.
Andre played that perfectly. I think he knew that the look-in was coming. Watch Andre. Watch Andre come up. Bang. He's got the ball knocked right out of his hands. It's a good play by Andre. Andre's got the speed. He can afford to do that. He can come right up on a receiver and still cover him deep because he's as fast as most receivers in this league.
Farragelli would have loved to have gone to the dressing room with more points on the board. He leads 31-13, but that interception snuffed out a drive. Now Lezecki on this third down punt with 1:17 remaining gets away a good one taken by Drawhorn at the 15-yard line, and he goes down at the 19. Bruce Boyko making sure he was down at that spot.
Well, this is a key situation for the Roughriders. If they want to come in and really show some killer instinct, they've actually got time. 1 minute and 12 seconds. Damon's got time to take them down the field. I think it's a key to the ball game as to what they do in these situations. They're backed up in their own territory. This would prevent Saskatchewan from getting field position if they can put a drive on.
Ottawa twice today has turned the ball over on that most recent Damon Allen interception and an earlier fumble by Reggie Barnes. 1st and 10. The ball is at the 19. 1:12 remaining in the half. Handoff to Reggie Barnes. And Barnes will be close to the first down at the 30-yard line. Suter and Dixon combined to stop the Ottawa running back, but not before he went for 11.
That's good ball carrying by Reggie Barnes. Now King tries to come back around. If it's not for the backside linebacker, King, they would have gone a long way. Good running by Reggie.
56 seconds remaining in the half. 1st and 10. The ball is at the 30. Allen will run it again. And he goes down at the 41 with another first down.
That's what Joe wants to see. Joe Farragelli knows field position is so important. And to get out of your own end zone area, that makes it a punt now probably would keep either team from scoring. But Joe thinks they can still get in and get at least 3.
Allen has certainly done a good job of running the football today. 40 seconds remaining in the half. It's 1st and 10 from the 41-yard line. Ellingson comes into the ball game, a 5-receiver. Make that a 6-receiver package now for Ottawa. Damon Allen with a couple of neat moves. Another one. Still on his feet, and getting back to make the tackle is James King.
Well, he did do one thing. He spent about 25 seconds, so I guess that'll keep Saskatchewan from getting the ball back.
Was that designed as run, or was he attempting to throw?
I think he was looking for the inside receiver, and when he saw them pick it up, he thought the blitz would be coming. They could throw hot. And when the defense picked up the inside receivers, he just took off and ran with it. It was a called pass.
Ellingson goes out. Barnes comes back in. This should be the final play of the half. Movement at the line of scrimmage. Handoff to Conrad. Wayne Drinkwalder moved prior to the ball being snapped.
Second down.
That moves the ball to the 50-yard line. A native of Thunder Bay, Wayne Drinkwalder, wearing number 77 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and he jumps prior to the ball being snapped, and he can't get back. This is the final play of the half. Damon Allen throwing deep. James Ellingson was looking for it, and he took a hit from safety Glenn Suter as he reached up, but the ball sailed over his head. And that's the end of the first half.
Welcome to Live at the Half. We first met Lonnie Gleiberman when he appeared with us on this program in August, then courting a CFL expansion franchise for Detroit. Now Lonnie and his father Bernie, president of the family-owned business Crosswinds Communities of Detroit, may soon end up owning the Ottawa Roughriders. That's the major news that emanates from a CFL meeting in Toronto last night. Detroit is out of the picture for the Gleibermans for a couple of reasons. First of all, the Tiger Stadium is unavailable for CFL games. And second of all, the Gleibermans say they like the Ottawa situation, and Lonnie assures that should the purchase go through, the Riders will be kept in Ottawa. Following the meeting at which the Gleibermans made their pitch last night, there was a game at Skydome between Toronto and Winnipeg. The Winnipeg defense was ferocious. Darryl Sampson caught Argonaut quarterback Ricky Foggy on the halfback blitz on just the second play of the game. James West recovered, was ruled down at the 1-yard line, but the play set up the first major score of the game by the Bombers. The league's top rusher Robert Mims took it in. The second Winnipeg touchdown came when reliable veteran Rick House hauled in a pass from Tom Burgess, and the Bombers were off and running in front by 14. The Argonauts took the lead for the first time in the game when Foggy hit Rocket Ismail behind coverage. It was a 47-yard scoring play. Toronto led 16-15. Bombers came back to lead late in the fourth quarter, but were overtaken by 2 Lance Chommick field goals. The second set up by a sensational catch by Darrell K. Smith. And Chommick was good from 18 yards out with 41 seconds to play. The Argonauts escaped victorious 22-21. The hero was Lance Chommick.
As you get a little bit older, like I am right now, a little more experience, you know, you're not so much worried about the fact that it's a field goal to win the game as you are about worried about making that specific kick. You know, you're concentrating on just making a good stroke and doing everything right, just the same way I would in the first quarter with the kicks in the first quarter or in the second quarter or in the third quarter. You're just worried about making that individual kick, and how it falls into the grand scheme of things is whether or not it wins and loses the game is sort of secondary, and that's the way you keep the pressure from getting to you.
Tells me a little bit about the kind of guys we have on our team, you know. I always had the suspicion that we had a lot of character and a lot of pride, and, you know, just confirmed it.
The win also confirms a first-place finish, at least almost, for the Argonauts in the East Division. They lead by 6 with 4 games to go, so it would take an unconditional collapse by Toronto for the Argonauts not to earn a bye into the Eastern Final. When Live at the Half returns, we'll check out the CFL collectible market. Stay with us. It's almost Indian summer in Ottawa. On a mild day at Lansdowne Park, 44 points scored in the first 30 minutes, and Ottawa has 31 of them. Welcome back to Live at the Half. One thing that doesn't appear to have suffered in the recession is the sports card retailing business, and the Canadian Football League is now into it in a big way. It's the craze that's sweeping the nation. Collectibles are in, and nothing is hotter than cards. Youngsters part with allowances, adults with thousands of dollars to acquire the hottest properties. Toronto Argonauts owner Bruce McNall and partner Wayne Gretzky parted with a reported $400,000 to acquire Honus Wagner, the Mona Lisa of cards. There's nothing as expensive as all of that in the CFL, but it figures in the market, and its cards are legitimate collectibles.
Really, this whole thing is new, especially as far as CFL cards go, because while they've been around for a long time, they haven't really drawn a lot of interest. Now with Rocket Ismail in Toronto, there's a lot of interest, not only in the CFL, but also, of course, in collecting the cards. And also, for the first time, we've got more than one company producing CFL cards.
When the Rockets signed with the Argonauts, a California company, All World, paid a reported $250,000 for exclusive rights to the Rocket card. All World went to court to stop John Bradley from printing Rocket cards. He runs Jago, a company that for 10 years produced the only CFL cards.
We suffered greatly in the when we announced we didn't have the Rocket. We lost $3 million of sales in the first 2 weeks. And now it's, like I said, it's going to take a while to come back.
Bradley has never made a cent producing CFL cards, and now he's rocketless. Even so, he expects success this year.
We've done really well in the American market. A lot of people have really had great write-ups about our cards, and like I said, I'm really excited about the quality we have this year. As after 10 years, it's just better and better, and I think this is our best product.
When Warren Moon was tearing up the CFL, he was featured on a Jago card. 9 years later, it's worth lots.
There weren't too many Jago cards made in 1983, and those that were traded by kids, put in bicycle spokes, thrown against walls, and a lot of those things aren't in very good shape anymore. If you can find a near mint to mint 1983 Warren Moon card for $700, it's probably still a good buy.
And here is one of the Warren Moon rookie cards that did not end up in a bicycle wheel in my hot little hands. It's almost as good as $700 cold hard cash. The card is in mint condition. Back in '83, John Bradley gave each player 500 of these cards to do with as they pleased. We talked to Warren Moon this week. Of course, he's now starring at quarterback with the Houston Oilers of the NFL. He says the Edmonton Eskimos gave out most of his cards. He doesn't have a single one left, and obviously with their current value is sorry that he doesn't. And speaking of cards, here's a couple of the real live kind, guaranteed to fetch more than $700 on the collectible market. Don Whitman, Joe Galat.
Thank you, Scott. Joe, here's 6 cents for your card as general manager of the BC Lions, Montreal. Joe, the first half, Stephan Jones back in the line. Can I have my 6 cents back, please? Stephan Jones back in the lineup of the Ottawa Roughriders. Were you impressed?
Stephan Jones is just exactly what Joe Farragelli said he would be. He's one of those receivers that knows how to read the coverages. He knows when they're going to be blitzing, anticipates. He does an excellent job on the second touchdown that he made. Damon Allen drops back, gets good pass protection, and Stephan Jones has already worked on Hairston to break open. There it is, a touchdown. It's 31 points against a blitzing defensive team.
Well, Joe Farragelli obviously was correct last week when he said he wanted to keep Stephan out for one more week just to make sure he was completely healthy.
Papa Joe's rule: when the doctors tell you a guy's ready, wait 7 more days.
He waited 7 more days, and he has been rewarded 2 touchdown catches so far this afternoon by Stephan Jones. The Ottawa Roughriders in control at halftime here at Lansdowne Park, leading 31-13 over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Impressive statistical numbers posted by Ottawa in the first half of play. 334 net yards. They had impressive numbers last week as well against the Toronto Argonauts. Over 500 yards in offense, but they lost by a single point, 25-24 to the Argos. The Argos winning by a single point again last night over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Ottawa has had much more balance between their ground game and passing attack this afternoon than Saskatchewan. Kent Austin has already put it in the air 25 times. Lucius Floyd waits for this short kickoff at the 40-yard line. Penalty flag on the play as Floyd is brought down at the 52. That ball really hung up in the wind.
We've seen so many crazy kicks this year. High kicks, pop-ups, onside. And now you get a holding call. You're already at the 50-yard line. Coach Matthews won't be happy with this.
Holding. Saskatchewan number 74. First down.
Brashovich was guilty of the holding call. That takes the ball back to the 35-yard line.
Well, Kent Austin probably will make some adjustments at halftime. I think one of them will be that you can't press the ball to Fairholm the whole game. He's going to have to go to some other people.
Saskatchewan has yet to win a football game this season when they've trailed after 30 minutes of play. Milson Jones, the ball carrier, and Milson Jones brings it out to the 42-yard line.
I think the only success they've had going to Jeff Fairholm is when they've caught the Roughriders in zone coverage. Kind of easy for them to read because zone coverage means those backers have to get out of there and defend the zones as opposed to blitzing, playing man-to-man tight coverage, which is what the Roughriders do best.
2nd and 3. Saskatchewan with that 5-receiver package. Ottawa with the 6 defensive backs. Milson Jones, the ball carrier, and a first down Saskatchewan as Lloyd Lewis brings them down, but not before he drove to the 52.
So it looks like they're going to change their philosophy a little bit and run the football in this half. Milson almost breaks this one loose. You can see what happened. Lloyd Lewis took a piece of it. If it's not for Lloyd Lewis, that play could go a long way.
Milson Jones down on one knee. He returned to the lineup on September 1st after missing the previous 2 games with sore ribs. This afternoon he has carried 4 times for 27 yards.
Well, Milson's a big guy, and when he carries the ball, people don't think he's running very fast because he takes short steps. but he is a load, and when you get a hold of him, you're going to have to, he's going to carry you with him unless you get him low and take him, wrap him up. He'll take you with him.
60 CFL career touchdowns. He's number 25 on the all-time list. Here's a reverse with Fairholm. Charles Wright brought down Fairholm. That's the way they opened the game, running that reverse. Fairholm is hurt. He went down heavily when he was tackled, and if he is out of the lineup, that will really be a blow to Saskatchewan. He appears to be in a lot of pain. He has either jammed a finger or it's a wrist injury. It appears to be more of a finger problem than his wrist, and now they have to go about trying to remove those gloves, and trainer Ivan Gutfreund is simply going to cut off the tape and I'm sure cut off the glove if he has to.
Well, I hate to see that because they're in a position where they don't know what the injury is. It's either the wrist or the hand. Coach Matthews knows now he's got to put in another rookie receiver. His finger's dislocated, and that's not a very serious injury. It looks worse than it is.
Well, Fairholm had tied the Rider record for receiving touchdowns in one game on September 21st against BC with 3, and he came with 44 catches for 809 yards. We'll be back right after this.
On the Saskatchewan bench, the news on Jeff Fairholm is, as Don and Joe suspected, a dislocated finger on his left hand caused a whole lot of pain. They simply had to pop it back in. He's not in as much pain right now, but the nature of that injury is such that he may not be able to go back into this game, Don.
Well, it's easy for you to say that he's not in much pain right now. The way that finger was sticking out, I think it hurt a little. Lucius Floyd was the intended receiver, and the linebacker Patrick Wayne, who missed last week's game against Toronto, had dropped back with him.
What happened with Kent Austin this game is that he's getting pressured almost every play, and he can't really get into his rhythm. He can't throw the football with confidence and follow through. He really took a hit on his knee. He's being crowded, and when you crowd a quarterback, they can't follow through with their throws them off.
Zeki stands at his own 43-yard line. Drawhorn is going to let it bounce. Picks it up now at the 5. And Drawhorn brings it back to the 10-yard line. That's where Ottawa will scrimmage, 1st and 10.
So Ottawa has to take over in tough field position. But Damon Allen came away from his own goal line before the half in good shape. And he did it by scrambling with the football, and I think that's the key. A lot of the rushing yardage today has been Damon Allen running with the football.
Well, the wideouts have been the favorite target today for Damon Allen, as they were last week in that loss to the Toronto Argonauts, 25-24. Conrad has stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Bobby Jurison piled him up as he attempted to cut back. Well, they are taping his 2 fingers together on his left hand, his baby finger and his ring finger.
They're taping over the tactified leather that Scott Oak told us about, tactified leather gloves.
So it looks as though he will be going back into the ball game. Damon Allen is under pressure. He escapes and is forced out of bounds, short of a 1st down. Glenn Scribner was actually the man who forced Allen out of bounds, but the Saskatchewan Roughriders are going to get the football back in pretty good position.
Maybe the smartest thing Damon Allen did on that play was not throw the football. The coverage looked good downfield, so he intelligently elected to try to get it scrambling. That's not a position where you want to turn the ball over when you're under your own goalpost.
Terry Baker stands back at his own goal line. Jay Cox waits for the kick at the 48. Jay Cox, the CFL leader in combined yards. Even without a good return, which he is capable of, Saskatchewan will have excellent field position. Jaycox brings it back to the 38. Tackled by Daniel Hunter. But the Saskatchewan Roughriders are in excellent field position with 11:32 remaining in the third quarter.
So Willis Jaycox gave them what they wanted. Good first offensive play. That kick return is your first offensive play, according to Joe Farragelli. Hey, Saskatchewan's in good shape.
First and 10, the ball at the 38-yard line. Three receivers to the left. Intended for Lucius Floyd. It was behind him. It will be 2nd and 10. Saskatchewan with 4 games remaining after today. They're at Hamilton on Thanksgiving Monday. We'll have that game for you on CBC television. Then they are at home to the Ottawa Roughriders on October the 20th and against the BC Lions on October 27th. They wind up the season in Calgary on November 3rd. Jeff Fairholm with those 2 fingers on his left hand taped, back in the lineup for Saskatchewan. Interference on the play against Andre Francis, but Donald Narcisse makes the catch anyway.
Andre was on him just like a cheap suit, but they're going to take the reception.
Jake Ireland talking to veteran Roger Aldag, who, by the way, is celebrating.
Pass interference. Ottawa number 1. Decline. First down.
He talked about birthdays earlier. Aldag celebrating his 38th today.
That's a young man for an offensive lineman in the Canadian Football League. 38, that's about average.
Well, that hand doesn't seem to be bothering Jeff Fairholm. He goes up to make the catch in front of Charles Wright for a first down at the 10.
Good job by Fairholm. He actually boxed him out like a basketball player. He put his hips into him, wouldn't let him come over top to make the knockdown. He wouldn't let him knock the ball down, just brought it right in. That's like a basketball play. And remember, Fairholm's got the bad fingers. So he took the angle, and he took the ball away.
First and 10, the ball just outside the 10-yard line, actually. Intended for Fairholm again, and Patrick Wayne decked Kent Austin just as he threw.
We talked about Patrick Wayne early in the ball game, and this is what Patrick Wayne gives to you. Good, solid run support, but more importantly, when he comes after you as a pass rusher, watch this. I mean, he just takes you over backwards and puts you down on the wrestling mat. Looks like WWF. But Austin's back up.
9:53 remaining in the third quarter. Austin into the end zone, incomplete. Intended for Fairholm again, but even had he made the catch, he was out of bounds.
Jeff Fairholm is working to get open, but what's happening while Fairholm's making that wheel pattern happen is that Austin's being pressured. They came in from both sides, and the walls just caved in on Austin. He didn't have a chance.
Fairholm trying to concentrate on keeping those feet in bounds while at the same time looking and reaching for that football. It was over his head, and David Ridgway will try a 17-yard field goal, and it is good. 9:35 remaining in the third quarter. It's now 31-16, Ottawa in front.
Well, the weather here in Ottawa has just now turned ugly, windy with driving rain, but it's a great day in Calgary. 22 degrees for the affair between the BC Lions and the Stampeders. No score to this point in the first quarter, Don, but we'll keep you updated.
And the BC Lions with a win could create a three-way tie for first place in the West. Reggie Barnes, the ball carrier, to the 40-yard line, a pickup of 5, stopped by Richie Hall. Scott said it was really getting ugly, and indeed it is. The wind has increased in velocity, and in addition to the wind, a driving rain here at Lansdowne Park. An injured Saskatchewan Roughrider. Richie Hall is the player who is down. You know, it's such a beautiful time of year in Ottawa with the colors as the leaves turn and the yellows, the scarlets. And this is sleet that is now falling at Lansdowne Park. So not only has the wind picked up, but the temperature has dropped as well.
Well, they've gotten a rise out of the crowd. I mean, they don't like that sleet, hail, whatever's coming down. A lot of people heading for cover. I don't know what's more colorful, the stands or Mother Nature's paintbrush off in the horizon with all the leaves changing colors.
Well, if you don't like the weather today in Ottawa, just wait a couple of minutes. It will change. And that's what we've experienced since this game started. We had a very heavy, very brief shower in the first quarter. The sun came out. The wind dropped down. Then the wind increased. We had some rain. Now we've got sleet.
Well, Richie Hall's going to take a break. But these fans, they don't take a break. You know, that's one of the things that's been consistent. The fans of the Ottawa Roughriders, they have a solid core of fans that turn out every week to support their team. I think that's why Lonnie Gleiberman's interested. You start out in Detroit, you start out from zero. You start out at Ottawa, you've got 25,000 people who care about their football team.
Hopefully the deal will be completed sometime next week. Second down, Reggie Barnes breaks the tackle and gets up close to the 45-yard line. James King in to make the tackle. Well, Joe Farragelli decides to abandon the glasses. He probably wouldn't have been able to see a great deal had he kept them on. He might want to borrow one of those helmets from his players, however, to protect his head with that sleet and hail falling at Lansdowne Park.
Reggie Barnes just showed sheer determination. What he wanted to do was to get that first down, and he kept bouncing to the outside, kept breaking it off, and he got the first down. Reggie Barnes takes the ball on the sprint draw, and as he breaks it, he breaks outside here with his blockers in front of him. That's determination. You can see Gerald Roper out in front, and Reggie just runs right over. Even though Roper didn't stay on the block, Reggie had enough movement to get the first down.
Measurement reveals a first down at the 45-yard line. 8:33 remaining in the third quarter. He faked, now he tosses to Reggie Barnes. And Glenn Sutter and Bobby Jurison take him out of bounds at the 52-yard line.
Well, give Damon Allen a lot of credit for that pitch. You know, this weather isn't great. They're against the wind, and Damon Allen gave them the good fake, came back outside and gave a perfect pitch to Reggie Barnes. And it has to be a good pitch. Look at the rain and the wind. He got that ball out there. He's done that in college a few times. Reggie made a nice catch, rambled up for the first down. Good drive with the wind in your face.
This afternoon, the Roughriders are well ahead of their seasonal rushing average. Much of it coming on a 60-yard run by David Conrad. Reggie Barnes, the workhorse, however, of that ground game. He'll be close to another Ottawa first down. Brian Illebrun threw a key block on Bobby Jurison.
There's King coming up to try to make the tackle. And Reggie Barnes just stayed with the play. He stayed in the angle, even though it looked like he didn't have any place to go. And then he got some help. Coming back around was Yellorinko. Made the play, worked for him. Yellorinko did a good job.
Barnes is getting closer now to 1,100 yards. He had 1,009 starting the football game. Sean Daniels on that short yardage offense inside the 40-yard line. There appeared to be some movement on the part of the Saskatchewan Roughriders prior to the ball being snapped.
I think Damon Allen did a good thing. He went on the long snap count. And that pulled the defense offsides. This is a nice drive against the wind.
Craig Hendrickson was the man who was offside.
Offside, Saskatchewan. First down.
That's a good play.
Craig Hendrickson, by the way, the son of Lefty Hendrickson, who previously played in the CFL with the BC Lions. Now running a car dealership in Brandon, Manitoba.
What kind of cars?
I'm not quite sure. He'd tell you they're good ones. Reggie Barnes to the 27-yard line. Another Ottawa first down. Suter and King make the stop on Reggie Barnes, but this Ottawa ground game is moving the ball successfully.
Nice job by Rob Smith. He just comes in and just blows King right out of the hole so that Reggie Barnes can go through. Even though King bounced off, it was a big gain.
The Roughriders continuing to post some impressive statistical numbers. The fake, Damon Allen throwing and underthrowing the man he was looking for, David Conrad.
Well, he had a chance to get Conrad back upfield, but he just tried to feather it too much. Running to your left, sometimes very difficult to get the right feel for it when you're throwing with your right hand. That's the first pass, and it really wasn't much of a pass, but that's the first pass on this drive. And there he is putting the hex on. That is Coach. No, that's not a coach, is it? That looks like my agent.
No wonder you've had problems getting work. Well, the big thing for the Ottawa Roughriders right now is to control the football, and they've been doing a pretty good job of that, taking 3 minutes off the clock with 6 running plays, 6:04 remaining in the third quarter, and now the Ottawa Roughriders face a third down.
Eddie Lowell, he comes up and makes the hit to make sure they don't get the first down. They're going to settle for a field goal, but hey, they wasted a lot of time on the clock, and remember, they get the win in the fourth quarter.
Terry Baker will be attempting a 29-yard field goal. John Kangemi will hold. Baker's previous field goal was from 48 yards out with the wind. This is against the wind, and it is good. So the Ottawa Roughriders add to their lead with 5:44 remaining in the third quarter. Well, the rain at Lansdowne Park has eased off. Some of the more fortunate spectators are undercover. Most of them on the north side of the stadium. Dumped off to Lucius Floyd, looking for a couple of blocks. And Charles Gordon brings them down at the midfield stripe. A Saskatchewan first down. Let's update that Calgary BC game for you. The Lions leading 3-0. The game in the first quarter. Joe, what are the odds of that one going into overtime?
Well, when you have Doug Flutie on one side and Danny Barrett and company on the other, a lot of sparks could fly.
2 of their 3 previous meetings required extra time before they were settled. This is Lucius Floyd again, forced out of bounds. He'll be close to another first down, and he goes crashing into the Saskatchewan bench. However, he apparently is okay as he gets up and heads back onto the playing field.
Lucius Floyd on the last 2 plays has certainly shown some determination, and not only determination but good speed. On that screen pass, he took it right up, made some big yards, and on this one he had the corner and he showed enough speed to bounce outside. Everyone was expecting him to come inside. He bounced it outside, and they're measuring for a first down.
You talked about Calgary and their quarterbacking situation. They would like to have Danny Barrett in the lineup, but I think Gilbert Renfro is throwing the football for the Stampeders this afternoon. Barrett's still out of the lineup with an injury.
Remember, Gilbert Renfro got hit last week 34 times out of 43 passes by the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
That's a defensive statistic that Don Matthews was quite excited about when we talked with him yesterday. Fairholm over the middle. A gain of 7 yards at the 38 of the Ottawa Roughriders with 4:51 remaining in the third quarter.
Joe Faragelli doesn't want Saskatchewan to get anything quick. He'd like them to take a lot of time. They have the wind. They have the advantage right now. Saskatchewan does, and Joe knows that. He doesn't want them to get a fast, easy touchdown.
Draw play with Lucius Floyd. He's going to be close to a first down, upset by Charles Wright.
I think Coach Faragelli would consider any running play to be to his advantage, because now with that wind the way it is, it's just taking more time.
Well, he was saying yesterday that they have to force Austin to get rid of the ball right away, have to make him reload. They can't let him get into his rhythm, set up.
They've done that this game. They've done a great job of that.
Farthing was waiting for it, and Daniel Hunter laid a big hit on the rookie from the University of Saskatchewan.
Now, you tell defensive players to go through the man to the football and to time up your hit. Daniel Hunter timed this up. Wham! He went right through him just as the ball hit. He hit when the ball hit. Hard to make a catch that way.
Farthing seeing his first CFL action today, the Riders' #1 draft choice. Lucius Floyd caught by Daniel Hunter and Brian Bonner.
That's perfect defense. They had him exactly where they wanted him. They got him in long yardage situation, played the zone coverage, and Daniel came right up, made a nice tackle, and just made sure that he got Floyd. His forward momentum stopped, and Floyd just kept trying to drive, so he took him out of bounds.
Ottawa's defensive unit doesn't get enough credit for the job they've done in recent weeks. They are #1 in the CFL in a number of categories.
Well, they're the best pass defense in the CFL in about 6 different categories, and they're really not that far out. #2 in yards given up.
41-yard field goal try by David Ridgway is good. That comes with 3:21 remaining in the third quarter. 34-19 is now the score.
This Ridgway, I mean, you'd never even think that he's going to miss. And what has he had? About 403 now. It's an incredible job that he's done. And a lot of people overlook kickers. Hey, it's not that easy.
Ridgway is second in scoring in the CFL behind Lance Chomik of Toronto. Chomik had a big night in that 22-21 win by Toronto over Winnipeg last evening at the Sky Dome. His 18-yard field goal with 41 seconds remaining, giving the Argos a victory and all but clinching first place for Toronto in the Eastern Division. 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. Reggie Barnes again, and Ottawa is intent apparently on staying on the ground, taking as much time as they can off the clock until they get the wind at their backs. Glenn Scribner was there to make the tackle.
I think ideally they would like to run the football down the field until the change in quarter, and then with the wind start to throw the ball.
I think that's Don Matthews huddled there on the sidelines.
That's with Coach Heath, the defensive line coach.
There's the toss to Reggie Barnes. He has room to the outside. He has a first down.
Damon Allen is running the option play as well as we've seen any quarterback in the CFL run it. He's given him that upfield fake. He's giving them the threat that he will carry it himself. Just when the defense starts to anchor in, Damon pitches the ball out. So you got to give him credit. Nice fake to the inside. They're concerned about Damon running, and then he gets the pitch out to Reggie Barnes.
Well, Coach Farragelli said they took away many of the options Damon Allen had. They're trying to make things basic and simple for him in directing the attack, and he has done a good job of doing just that. He gives to Reggie Barnes. That will be a pickup of about 5. 2:05 is the time remaining. Bobby Jurison in to make the tackle. Jurison has been all over the field making tackles today for Saskatchewan.
One thing that you look for in a running back is that he starts to get his momentum. He starts to feel good, and the defense starts to feel bad. Now Eddie Lowe's holding his shoulder. I mean, there are people down on the field almost every play. You saw Hall go out a little bit before that. That's what happens when your running back starts to take control of the game. Defensive linemen like Jurison, what is he going to do? I mean, they got to play the pass, and they still have to react to the run. But this is the thing that Reggie Barnes loves to do. He likes to get behind those big guys and just keep carrying the football. Just keep loading and reloading and going down that football field. He's a tough, hard running back. Gets better as the game goes on.
Injured linebacker Wayne Dixon played in the World League of American Football with Coach Don Matthews in Orlando. He joined the Riders on August 25th as a free agent. He played 4 games at Rush End for BC in 1990. Well, the BC Lions have received another field goal from Lou Pasaglia. They lead the Calgary Stampeders 6-0. If the Lions win, they will move into a three-way tie for first place with Calgary and Edmonton. Edmonton, winners by a single point Friday night over the Hamilton Tiger Cats. That loss for Hamilton, their 13th of the season. That's their most losses in club history.
And you know, they haven't played bad football the last 3 games we've watched them play. They very easily could have won any of those games.
Reggie Barnes on the carry, short of the first down, it would appear. Eddie Lowe, the linebacker, came over to make the tackle. Dan Rashovich into the ball game. Eddie Lowe in the middle, looking on to see what the Ottawa Roughriders are going to do, and they are sending out the punting unit. Well, Reggie Barnes once again has gone over 100 yards in running with the football, and now over 1,100 for the season.
Eddie Lowe is just, he's playing the whole field, and we said he was down, but he got back up, and he's playing hard. Dixon's out of the lineup. He's playing a defensive end for Saskatchewan, but they held him on. That's what they wanted to do, is to get the ball back with some time. They've only got a minute left with the wind in this quarter.
They're going to use as much of that 20-second clock as possible before kicking the ball away. Jay Cox lets it roll back to the 10-yard line, and he dives up to the 17 with 48 seconds left on the clock in the third quarter. 34-19. Ottawa leads Saskatchewan. We've talked about Willis Jaycox a number of times. He is the combined yardage leader in the CFL, 2,225 yards, only 27 yards ahead of the Rocket, who scored a touchdown last night for the Toronto Argonauts. But I think Coach Adam Rita might be a little concerned about his Toronto offense. 1 touchdown in each of the last 2 games. Once last week against Ottawa, once this week against Winnipeg.
That was a big play by Anthony Drawhorn. He stripped the ball. That was actually a reception and then a strip of the football, and we're anxious to see how they rule it. They ruled a reception, but I'm trying to figure out how. Well, that's a strange call on my part, because they still have the ball. Saskatchewan still has the ball, and the recovery was made by Ottawa.
This should be the final play of the third quarter. Boyko takes a hit from Patrick Lane, and he is slow in getting up.
Well, Ottawa's playing the tendencies. They're really playing the inside receivers, overplaying it, making sure that they're going to be able to take away the seam pattern.
And we'll be right at the end of the third quarter. Now, Bruce Boyko made a catch earlier in the third quarter, and the ball got away from him. The only thing we can figure out is that they ruled that his forward progress had been stopped.
Yeah, I think you're right, Donna. It's the only call that could have been made. If it was a fumble, it would have to go over to Ottawa. If it was an incompleted pass, the ball would have gone back to the original line of scrimmage.
Actually, that was Bruce Boyko throwing it back to Kent Austin.
That was
just
a
so he
good
could
play.
Reload again.
That's what Joe Fairgelly wanted, to reload.
Drawhorn runs out of bounds over on the far side of the field. Well, we saw Boyko throw it to Kent Austin. Now we'll see Kent Austin throw it to Boyko.
The magic of TV. But watch what happens. As he pulls the ball in, Drawhorn alertly causes him to drop the ball. Now, what did they rule? I guess it was forward progress. Otherwise, the ball would have gone back to the original line of scrimmage.
1st and 10, Ottawa. They are at the 52 of Saskatchewan. Sean Daniels gets the call, and he'll pick up about 4 yards, stopped by middle linebacker Eddie Lowe. 424 net yards so far for Ottawa. Last week they had 523 against Toronto.
Look for the passing statistics to start to get a little bit higher on the Rough Riders side. 283 yards rushing. That's a lot of yards.
Just 56 rushing yards for Saskatchewan. Brock Smith is open. They rule that he made the catch and lost the football when he hit the ground.
Excellent throw by Damon Allen. He put the ball exactly where it had to be. Brock Smith is running a post corner pattern, and this is face starting all the way. McLeod, who made a nice interception in the first half, really was beaten, and he had to just come up and do what he could do and shake the ball loose.
First completion in the second half for Damon Allen, but it's a first down at the 17-yard line. Here's the option and the toss to Sean Daniels. Daniels stayed in bounds and got inside the 5-yard line. He lost the football again, but again they ruled that he was down.
Damon Allen made a nice move. He faked the pitch initially to freeze the defense, and then he did pitch the ball out to Sean Daniels. So that, in effect, blocked number 50. Did you see how he did it? He faked the pitch, then he did pitch it. That gave Sean Daniels a chance to beat 50 and to come right over on top. That's a great job.
It's first and goal for Ottawa. The ball is at the 4-yard line. The short yardage offense is in there, and I'm sure they have brought in some help from the bench for Damon Allen in selecting the play he is going to call. Damon Allen fakes, throws, touchdown to David Conrad. Excellent move by Damon Allen. He faked as though he was going to run it, and then he simply lobbed it over the head of the defender to a wide open David Conrad. It's 40-19, and Terry Baker will attempt the point after.
That's when you know you're having a good day. When you run the bootleg, then you can come back, do a good job of running the bootleg pass, and we'll be right back.
With 12:16 remaining in the fourth quarter, not only is the news bleak for Saskatchewan here at Lansdowne Park as they trail 41-19, but word out of Calgary isn't very good for the Rough Riders either, as BC is leading Calgary in the second quarter. Penalty flag on the play on this return by Jay Cox. He gets it back out to the 44-yard line.
Every time Willis J. Cox carries the ball, something exciting happens. But it's drop the hanky time.
That was a 36-yard run back by Jay Cox, but the ball is being brought back as the result of a Saskatchewan penalty.
I wonder how many other guys are playing touch football that could come in and do what Jay Cox is doing.
Illegal block. Saskatchewan number 74. First down.
I said the news out of Calgary is not good. The BC Lions now leading Calgary by a score of 13-0. Matt Clark scoring a touchdown. And this is the touchdown. A throw from Doug Flutie, and Clark runs it into the end zone. 13-0, BC leading Calgary. A BC win would create a three-way tie for first in the West, and all three teams would be 8 points ahead of Saskatchewan if the Riders lose here today at Lansdowne, and the Riders would only have 4 games remaining. Floyd lost 3 yards. The pass down the sidelines for Farrell. You can say goodbye.
We talked about Jeff Fairholm's speed at the top of the show, and that's what he has. He can really fly when he catches that football. And that's a tribute to Kent Austin. He hung in there tough. He was getting pressure, put the ball down to Fairholm, who has a dislocated finger, pulled the ball in, and look at him go.
99 yards, Kent Austin to Jeff Fairholm. And that's the 28th touchdown pass of the season for Kent Austin, the 11th of the year for Jeff Fairholm.
Well, I guess we don't know much about the wind, huh, Don? The wind has been a big factor in this ball game, but it didn't bother Kent Austin. He put the ball right into Jeff Fairholm, and that's great that they didn't give up. Backed up to their own goal line. Kent Austin sure is a competitor, and so is that young man, Jeff Fairholm.
Not only is he an outstanding competitor, you have to give him full marks for his courage coming back into the ball game after dislocating those fingers, taping them up, hauling in that 99-yard touchdown pass, a 2-point conversion try, and there appeared to be a mix-up of some sort as the receivers were bumped as they tried to come off the line of scrimmage. I think Boyko was the receiver who was trying to run the pattern Austin was working on. And Lucius Floyd also had some problems getting out of there.
You know, Don, I'm always amazed at the crossing receivers. When they get bumped, which is about the only way to stop the pick play, the receivers get upset. When they don't get bumped, the defensive backs, they get picked, and then, of course, they get upset. So when you run that crossing stuff down on the goal line, somebody's going to be unhappy, and right now it's Kent Austin.
Kent Austin would have totally destroyed the CFL record of 40 touchdown passes in one season set by Peter Lisk had he been healthy for the entire year. He missed almost 6 full games, and yet he has thrown 28 touchdown passes this year. He's averaging almost 4 touchdown passes per game, so project that over 18 games, and he'd wind up with about 66 touchdown passes.
Incredible performance by Kent Austin. When you take into account he started that first game, got hurt right away, and then he didn't play for 6 ball games, so he didn't really have momentum going when he came back. He had missed training camp, essentially.
And even though he missed almost 6 full games, he still has a shot at that record.
And I think he'll get it. Jeff Braswell alertly got the football, but Daniel Hunter...
Who?
Stewman, I'm sorry. Did I say Jeff Braswell? Greg Stewman alertly put the ball up, but you see Daniel Hunter take a hit.
Wayne Dixon brings down Barnes.
We said Reggie Barnes was getting stronger as the game went on, but he didn't look as strong on that play because Dixon was right there to meet him.
10:34 remaining in the football game. 41-25 the score. Better get rid of those old depth charts.
Yeah, those old depth charts with Jeff Braswell's name on it. That doesn't work. Don Matthews knows Jeff Braswell.
Damon Allen swings it out to the sidelines. Brock Smith makes the catch at the 49.
Hey, what more can you do than what Damon Allen's done in this ball game? We've been critical of him at times, but I have to say this. He's shown touch on the football. He's shown some good arm strength getting the ball out when it had to be out there, and he's run with the football. He's been a complete quarterback on the field today.
9:45 is the time remaining. 22,038 watching the action at Lansdowne Park this afternoon. It's been cool and wet at times, but they have enjoyed what they've seen from the Ottawa offense. Reggie Barnes with a gain of 8.
Well, I'm sure the Board of Governors are happy with their decision to keep the Ottawa Roughrider franchise going. That looks pretty strong right now.
I've got one question for you. If they make it to the Grey Cup and win the Grey Cup, do all other teams in the league get rings as well?
There'll be very small rings.
Hopefully the sale of the Ottawa Roughriders will be completed to Lonnie Gleiberman early next week. And I think Lonnie Gleiberman, who is in attendance this afternoon, has to be kind of excited at the prospects of taking over this Ottawa football team. They've impressed in a number of ways, including some fine running by backs such as Sean Daniels.
I think one of the problems that Saskatchewan's having is they got Doug Brewster and James King, 2 new people in the lineup. And linebackers have to know their gap responsibility, and they're having trouble with that. They're getting caught up inside when it's a play bouncing out to the outside, not by lack of effort, just new to the league.
8:36 remaining in the football game, 41-25. Ottawa leading Saskatchewan. 1979, the Ottawa Roughriders had their biggest offensive game against Saskatchewan, racking up 53 points.
Well, this war's been won up front. That offensive line, just like Papa Joe told us, that offensive line of the Ottawa Roughriders has to control Saskatchewan's blitz. They've done that. He said they have to open up holes for the running backs. They've done that. And he said they needed good protection for Damon Allen. Hey, they did that too.
There was a delay while one of the officials went over to talk to the Ottawa coaching staff, and now time has been whistled in.
Probably something to do with the clock.
Reggie Barnes inside the 25-yard line. A gain of about 4 on first down, stopped by Jurison.
I can remember being on the sidelines and having a referee come over to you and you think something big's happening now, and they say
James King has changed his number to 37.
And then they tell you the clock is 2 seconds off and you say thanks. It can be that simple. Waste the whole 5 minutes to get it done.
Pass is complete. Brock Smith has another Ottawa first down. He loses the ball. And they're ruling a fumble recovered by Bobby Jurison. Brock Smith is protesting, and so is Damon Allen, that he was out of bounds. However, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, with 7:38 remaining, are going to take over. Well, it was Doug Brewster who stripped the ball away from Brock Smith, and Bobby Jurison recovered. Now, credit the official on the sidelines with an excellent call in this play. It looked as though Smith was out of bounds, but the ball had come loose before he went out of bounds, and Jurison was there to pounce on it. Saskatchewan has it 1st and 10. They are at their own 10-yard line. He was looking inside, Kent Austin was, to Jeff Fairholm, and Charles Wright and Daniel Hunter were both there.
That was a perfect play. He played the inside pattern, and I'm amazed how many times the defenders from the Roughriders from Ottawa, they knock that ball loose. Every time it's a seam pattern.
Ottawa, not noted for putting points on the board in the first quarter this season, registered 24, and that's one of the reasons they're in front. Almost intercepted by Hunter as Austin was looking for Fairholm over the middle once again.
But Austin can't throw the football when he's backing up, and that's what he's had to do all day. He's had to back up just to find himself some room to throw. They've really destroyed his timing. Standing ovation for the defense, and boy, the defensive players love to hear that.
Lazecki stands in the end zone for this 3rd down punt. He's kicking into the wind and gets away a pretty good kick. Bobby Gordon on the return, and Gordon is run out of bounds by Jeff Treflin at the 37. On the sidelines, let's join Scotto.
Well, Don, it's a doubleheader weekend for us next weekend. On Sunday afternoon, we'll be at McMahon Stadium in Calgary as the Stampeders host Ottawa. Stampeders are serious about finishing 1st in the West for the 2nd straight year. And on Monday afternoon, Thanksgiving Day, we'll be at Ivor Wynne Stadium for the game between the Tiger Cats and Saskatchewan.
Well, Calgary's hopes of finishing 1st could receive a setback this afternoon if the BC Lions continue to play the way they have in the first quarter. They lead 13-0. Damon Allen fakes, tosses it out to Barnes, and this time Saskatchewan was ready for it. Richie Hall came up to make the tackle at the 40-yard line. That's a loss of almost 3 yards.
Well, Gerald Wilcox couldn't get him to run off. You know, he was trying to run Richie Hall off, but Richie wasn't buying it, and he came up and played it perfectly. Damon gives him a pump fake again, and then actually gets the ball out, but there's Richie Hall right there.
Gordon comes wide to the left. They spotted the ball at the 39. Damon Allen checking off at the line of scrimmage. Throws intended for Ellingson, and that ball deflected way up into the crowd. That went about 6 rows up into the stands as Allen's pass was deflected. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders, with 5:57 remaining, will get it back.
Must have been something zip on that football. Did you see where it went? Right, hit his helmet.
It was actually tipped by Kim McLeod. It hit Ellingson, and then Ellingson actually deflected it up into the stands.
It's like a soccer pass here. Watch him butt it back up into the stands.
Baker attempting a 45-yard field goal. It's wide. Jaycox concedes the single point. 5:34 remaining in the game. 42-25 the score.
Out of town at McMahon Stadium, the Stampeders got on the board against the BC Lions when Alan Pitts got a short touchdown pass, and then this, Sean Beals with a touchdown reception from Gil Renfro to put the Stampeders into the lead, 14-13. Don, 2 good drives by the Stamps, and as I said, they're serious about finishing first.
Yes, they lead by a point. Fairholm makes another catch as the Saskatchewan Roughriders are intent on getting back into this ball game. They'll try to do it with 5:16 remaining, trailing by 17.
Well, Kent Austin's their leader, and there's no question that when he gets out there and calls them into the huddle, they're going to listen to him because he's shown a lot of courage today.
This is the 8th game this year that Kent Austin has passed for over 300 yards. He adds to the total with Byron Williams making the catch at the 26.
Got Saskatchewan in a zone coverage. Saskatchewan's playing loose. Now, they've had success all during the game playing tight coverage, bump and run tight coverage. They've loosened up, and Austin's taking advantage.
Well, you wonder what the Saskatchewan Roughriders might have done this season had they had a healthy Kent Austin all year.
No, John Gregory's wondering.
Yes, he might still be the coach of the football team. Well, apparently there was a mix-up between Kent Austin and Donald Narcisse as to the pattern they were going to run. It's so important that the receiver is on the same wavelength, the same page as the quarterback when it comes time to reading defenses.
Well, if I know that my quarterback's been in on the coaching meetings and watching all of that film that Kent Austin does and helps with the game plan, I'll listen to the quarterback.
The clock running, 4:10 remaining. It will be 2nd and 10 Saskatchewan. The ball is at the 26 of Ottawa. 4 receivers wide to the left. Austin throwing deep for Lucius Floyd. He can't make the catch. He was bumped by Brian Bonner as he attempted to get into his pattern.
But Kent Austin read that perfectly. He knew the pressure was coming. He put the ball up with enough room under it for Floyd to make the reaction. He had to be able to make the reaction. As it ended up, he sort of looked right over top of his head, and that's tough to catch the ball that way. Had he looked over his shoulder, he'd had it.
Updating the out-of-town game, Calgary now leading by 2. Mark McLaughlin kicking a single point, 15-13. Calgary leads BC. 3:44 remaining at Lansdowne Park, 42-25. Ottawa leading Saskatchewan. A 3rd down gamble, incomplete. Charles Wright was defending over the middle. And again, the Saskatchewan Roughriders turn it over, failing to make yardage on a 3rd down play. You know, you wonder what might have been had Kent Austin played the entire season. The Saskatchewan Roughriders also lost 5 games this year by less than 10 points. They lost by 2 to Toronto, 3 to BC, 5 to Edmonton. They lost to Winnipeg in overtime and lost by 9 to Edmonton.
Okay, Scott Flagel's been giving him trouble all day, but watch what Scott does here. He gets the pressure that you want on a guy like Kent Austin, and that is what Kent Austin has seen. People coming right into his face. He knows he's got to throw quick.
The Ottawa Roughriders will be content to keep the ball on the ground. 3:17 remaining in the game. Don Matthews had hopes that his offense would score enough points today and that his defense would come up with as strong a game as they did last week in controlling the Calgary Stampeders.
I think the credit has to go to the Roughriders of Ottawa's defense. They've done a whale of a job.
2nd and 6. Reggie Barnes out to the 42-yard line. Another first down. Eddie Lowe is there to make 2:45 is the time remaining, and Ottawa leads by 17. 42 points, the biggest scoring spree the Roughriders from Ottawa have been on this season, surpassing the 41 they scored earlier in the year against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And I believe that was in the first game that Joe Ferrighelli was behind the Ottawa bench when Ottawa won by a score of 41-31. Barnes, the ball carrier again. What a day he is having. To the 50 of Saskatchewan. Rob Smith got things going with a very key block.
Damon Allen came out and just gave it on a sprint draw, but look at the key block by Rob Smith, number 58, coming around. That gave Reggie Barnes a chance to get into the secondary, and he just keeps going in the direction of that goal line. You like those running backs that fall forward.
23 carries for 145 yards for Reggie Barnes. Brad Turney into the ball game. Hillebrand is out. David Conrad, the ball carrier. He keeps on fighting, and he'll be close to another first down. They'll spot the ball at the 40-yard line.
Well, that's when you know you're having a good day, when your running backs are fighting for that extra yardage, giving you first downs on, 10 yards. That's a lot of yards to get on a carry, and that's what David Conrad got.
Conrad has carried 6 times for 82. His big run, of course, was a 60-yarder in the first half.
And Damon Allen had 75 yards, so that's a bunch of yards on the ground.
1:57 with the clock running. The time remaining. It's 2nd and short for Ottawa. Sean Daniels dives inside the 35-yard line. Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have not won at Lansdowne Park since July 15th, 1988. And they are going to go home losers once again.
I think they did what they wanted to do on defense. They disrupted the receivers. They got pressure on Austin. And let's face it, without Elgard in there, that certainly didn't help the offensive for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Conrad just keeps on pumping and fights his way to about the 27-yard line. 1:20 the time remaining.
Saskatchewan has to win with their slot backs, and they know that. So without Ray Elgard, they had the young players in there, and that kind of disrupted their 5-receiver package. So Jeff Fairholm was left to carry most of the brunt of that, and their defense really played Jeff Fairholm. And this guy did a good job.
First 2 times the Ottawa Roughriders moved into Saskatchewan territory. Damon Allen ran for touchdowns. Reggie Barnes runs for another first down. Stopped by Richie Hall. Joe Ferrighelli has been talking about the job his offensive line has been doing, and we're seeing more and more evidence of the good blocking that he was referring to on the runs by Reggie Barnes.
Well, they pull the 2 linemen on that counter play, and one lineman kicks out. The other lineman drives up inside. Reggie just follows his lineman, and he's made a ton of yards on the counter.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 19-yard line. The Ottawa Roughriders, with this victory, will move within 2 points of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Bombers in 2nd place in the Eastern Division. David Conrad picks up about 4 yards before being stopped by Richie Hall. Ottawa and Winnipeg will play again on the 26th of October. right here at Lansdowne Park. That's the only remaining home game this year for the Ottawa Roughriders. Their 3 road games are in Calgary on October the 13th, in Saskatchewan on October 20th, and they wind up the season at the Sky Dome on November the 3rd. Second and 4. Reggie Barnes to the 3-yard line. 13 seconds remaining in the game.
There's the same play we talked about. It's like a sprint draw. Conrad kicks out, but look at the lead block by Yellorenko. Reggie loves to follow those big linemen through on the lead blocking. And Carey did a perfect job of kicking out.
Now, not only might Winnipeg and Ottawa be playing for second place on the 26th of this month, Barnes and Robert Mims could be battling for the rushing leadership. Sean Daniels to the goal line. Is he in? No, they're ruling that he did not get in, and that is the final play of the ball game. So it's a final score of 42-25. Joe Faragelli's Ottawa Roughriders defeating Don Matthews and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And the Ottawa Roughriders, by winning today, keep alive their hopes of finishing in second place in the Eastern Division. Faragelli and Matthews worked together as assistants with the Edmonton Eskimos, and Don Matthews also worked under Joe Faragelli when he was a head coach with the Edmonton Eskimos. So the former Saskatchewan Roughrider head coach gets a victory today at Lansdowne Park in Ottawa. 42-25 the final score. Damon Allen with 2 touchdown passes. He ran for 2 himself in a 42-25 Ottawa win over Saskatchewan.
Here at Lansdowne Park, the Eastern Riders may have turned in their most complete effort of the season. Solid with gusts up to spectacular on both offense and defense. You had to like the Roughriders offense today, and we did. Enough to make starting quarterback Damon Allen our Molson MVP. Stefan Jones provided the commentary on this one when he said Damon is as good as any quarterback in the league when he's on, and Damon Allen was on today. Ran this one in himself to make it 17-10. Ottawa in the first half, rushed for 75 yards. Threw 2 touchdown passes in a 42-25 Ottawa victory, and we call that an MVP day. Congratulations, Damon.
Well, thanks a lot, Scott. I appreciate it very much.
No disrespect intended here, but you know that the MVP could well have been Reggie Barnes, somebody from the defense. This was, as I said, an all-round complete effort by the Riders.
Well, there's no question. It really doesn't matter who's MVP. The main thing we've been trying to do is trying to win. So, you know, I think that was really important that we came in this game and established ourselves and try to get back to playing well. So, and that's what we did today.
One thing I thought you established early in this game is that you could score when you were in the score zone. That was the knock before this game. When we get to the 25s, we fall apart, but you didn't today. You put that to rest early.
Well, that's one of the things that we've been having trouble with over the last 3 ball games, and we really just wanted to really go in and try to put the ball in a scoring area. We wanted to use our running game, and we basically did that, and we made it a little bit easier on everyone on offense.
Reggie Barnes didn't rush for enough yards today, over 100 again. You had to go and get 75. Let's have a look at some of those that were scored in your first touchdown in this game. 2 touchdowns rushing. That's a good day for you.
Well, it was. It's just one of them things that when you're able to run the ball with Reggie, you know, there's so much focus on Reggie, and sometimes I can sneak out and, you know, get around there. So, you know, it helps out when you have a running back like Reggie, and the offensive line did a great job today in controlling the line of scrimmage.
Damon, a quick word now on this race for second place. You're within 2 of the Bombers.
Well, it's really important, and I think right now we just have to concentrate on one game at a time, and I think we play Calgary next, so right now we're just going to get ready for Calgary and just see what happens when we play the Bombers the next time.
Thanks for your time, sir, and congratulations.
Thank you a lot, Scott.
And here's Don Whitman.
Scott, we talked in the 4th quarter about the Ottawa ground game. They went over 400 yards rushing today, Joe. That's not far off the CFL record, which is 468 yards in a game.
Well, when you have 400 yards rushing, you're dominating people up front. That's what happened.
11 minutes in the 4th quarter when Saskatchewan desperately needed the football. Ottawa had it, and they stayed on the ground.
I think their game plan was perfect. They wanted to get Austin off of his rhythm. They did that. When they had the wind against them, they wanted to control the ball. They did that. And in the fourth quarter, when they had the lead, they wanted to keep the ball away from Saskatchewan. They did that. Pretty good ball game.
Well, Joe Farragelli said when he took over that one of the things he wanted to do was get the football more into the hands of Reggie Barnes. Today he carried 25 times and ran for 164 yards. Once before this season, he had 191 yards. But when you get it back, lugging it that many times for that many yards, I think you're in pretty good shape.
Well, what Reggie Barnes does so well, he runs the counter play, then they run the sprint draw, and everything sets up what Damon Allen does from there. He can run the bootleg, he can run the screen pass, he ran the bootleg through the ball, he ran the bootleg and ran for the touchdown. Reggie Barnes is the key to that because the defense has to look for him. Then Damon went from there.
I think that Ottawa defense created all sorts of problems this afternoon for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They were doing a lot of different things.
Well, when you get number 14, Scott Flagel, one time he's in your face, the next time he's 30 yards downfield trying to knock down a pass to Jeff Fairholm, and then the next time he pretends he's going to be either of the two, you don't know what to do.
Patrick Wayne returning to the lineup also helped the Ottawa Roughriders.
Patrick Wayne is the weak side linebacker, and so many weak side linebackers are the key to your pass rush because the quarterback doesn't see him coming, and boom, they're in there when you can't see him, and they disrupt the pass pattern, and that's what Patrick Wayne does so well.
The Ottawa Roughriders now within 2 points of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the race for second place. Toronto last night with a 22-21 win, moving 6 ahead of Winnipeg and all but wrapping up first place. Winnipeg and Ottawa will ultimately decide second place when they meet on the 26th of October. There could be a 3-way tie for first place in the West, depending on what happens at McMahon Stadium in Calgary this afternoon in the game between the Stampeders and the BC Lions. And Saskatchewan now pretty much out of it. Scott?
All right, Don, and here is Scott Flagel to state the case for the defense. Quickly, it was a great day, I thought, by the Ottawa defenders, and you in particular had some big hits.
Yeah, we're trying to take away with their strength, and their strength is just running down the field and catching the ball with Austin throwing on a certain, amount of time. And we try to get in the receivers' faces and not let them get the field as quickly as they have been, and then bring the pressure and not let Austin, have a lot of time to throw.
Yeah, he's a precision quarterback. His game depends on timing, and you threw him off today.
Well, we're trying, and they're letting me sit back a little bit and, make it look like we're going to blitz and then, leave me in a hole, and then they'd also send me and, try and create a lot of pressure that way. And like I said, we got a great bunch of DBs who can really, bump and run real well.
Scott, right now, unless you secure home field advantage for the playoffs, the Riders have just one home game, and that's in a couple of weeks against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. If you win that one, you could have home field and entertain the fans during the playoffs.
I'd love to entertain the fans here. I mean, that'd be great. We've got having great fans here in Ottawa, and we just haven't won enough for them.
Complexion of this team changed completely, I thought, when Joe Farragelli took over. You want to say a few words about that?
Well, Joe's kind of let us loosen up a little bit. I mean, the talent's been there, and I think Steve Goldberg, brought a good team together. As far as, making the team run, Joe's been able to kind of let us run about and make some things happen with, as he calls it, passion.
Play with passion for Papa Joe, and you guys are doing that.
Well, we're trying to, and we need to get a few more wins. If we could have won last week against Toronto, I think we'd be in a lot better shape.
All right, well, thanks for your time, Scott. Good luck the rest of the way. It was a great effort today. You want to say hi to anybody while you're here?
They're all here in Ottawa right now, so no worries.
Oh, good to hear. The family's back with you.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, Scott Flagel, once again, a great day by the Ottawa safety. Thank you, sir. So the Roughriders making a move now on the stretch drive of the CFL regular season. They're within 2 points of the second-place Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It's going to be a real race for that second-place finish, the result of Ottawa's convincing win over Saskatchewan today. 1 week this afternoon, we'll be out west at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, where the Stampeders, the class of the league, will host Ottawa, and please note that is a 2 o'clock start. The day before that, join us for Sports Weekend. Our lineup includes the Canadian 5-pin bowling championships, Indy car racing from Nazareth, Pennsylvania, and figure skating the European Gala. Thanks for watching today, and on the heels of an Ottawa victory, we bid you goodbye from Lansdowne Park in Ottawa.